Phoenix Nights. Chapter 1483. Divine light intertwined, and the pendant underwent a shocking transformation. Waves of divine light enveloped Lin Feng and Du Zhu. In an instant, Lin Feng felt as if he was being pulled into a mysterious world by the pendant. Kill! Deafening battle cries resounded through the skies. Lin Feng looked over and discovered that he had arrived at a planet. A war between planets was taking place here. In the Outerverse, this was a very common occurrence. Wars between planets were often fought over resources. In the Outerverse, there were more small planets with life. Hence, wars between planets would often erupt. The planet that was being besieged clearly could not hold on any longer. A group of elders escorted a dozen or so youths as they fled in different directions. They wanted to preserve the planet's bloodlines so that its legacy would not end here. More and more people were caught and killed. In the end, only a few elders managed to escape while protecting a young girl. However, they were also pursued by the enemy. The elders could not hold on any longer and died one after another. Just as the young girl thought that she was definitely going to die, a man appeared and saved her. I no longer have a home. Can I follow you? The young girl asked. The man was silent for a long time before saying, Live in anonymity. That way, you can still live well. The man left, but the young girl continued to follow behind him. Why are you following me? The man asked. I want to stay by your side, the young girl said. The man had no choice but to bring the young girl to travel through space. 3 years later. That's my homeland. I've lived here for a long time. The man looked at a planet with life as he spoke. He had returned to his homeland, but his heart was heavy. The young girl could sense the complex emotions in his heart. He was melancholic and sorrowful. The man stood there for a long time in a place filled with blooming cherry blossoms. What are you looking at? The young girl asked. The man replied, I'm looking at my past self. In the distance, there was heavenly music that interweaved in one's ears. Dozens of beautiful maidservants surrounded the man. 9 winged horses pulled the divine chariot over. We should leave, the man said. He seemed unwilling to see certain people. He left with the young girl. Is he back? A beautiful woman walked down from the chariot. You are clearly unhappy. Why did you come back? The girl's mind was very meticulous. She had discovered something. Now, her voice was faint, and her mood had become very bad because of some things that she had speculated in her heart. She had been by the man's side for 3 years and had experienced too many things. She already had some special feelings for him. Even if the girl knew that the man only treated her as a little sister. That was because even though 3 years had passed, she was only 16 years old. This is the best age. The first awakening of love. He would worry for his lover, be sad for his lover, and give up everything for his lover. My ancestors and parents were buried in my homeland. This is my roots, the man said. The girl didn't say anything and just listened quietly. If there comes a day when I die, I will turn into a pile of dirt and be buried in my hometown with my parents and ancestors, the man said softly. But now, he no longer had any relatives in his homeland. Maybe in the past, he still had a few friends. But now, he didn't even have any friends left. I plan to go to a place where I can't take care of you. Stay here and cultivate well, the man said. He took out a pendant and said, Take this token and go to the extreme north to find a granny called Xianji Shui. She will take you to cultivate. The girl understood the man's personality very well. She knew that the man had made his decision, and the place he was going to was definitely more dangerous than he could imagine. Therefore, he couldn't take her there. At this moment, the girl wished that she was a powerful cultivator and could help him. I will cultivate well. The man nodded. Good. I might come back soon. The man rubbed the girl's head and left. Time passed. The girl cultivated with all her might, wanting to become strong as soon as possible so that she could find the man. After so many years on this planet, the girl went to the cherry blossom tree many times. She saw another woman and found out many things about her. That woman was the man's fiancée. Merely, the young woman discovered that the woman was secretly having a tryst with another man. In the past, under the cherry blossom tree, the man's fiancée saw him off. On the day of his return, under the same cherry blossom tree, he saw his former lover and his former best friend playing with each other. He didn't show himself and silently left. Many years later, he returned with the girl. About 100 years later, a major event happened in the starry sky world. Someone successfully proved his Tao and became a great emperor. 10,000 realms came to congratulate him, and the starry sky respected him. A great emperor was enough to illuminate the boundless universe and become the strongest ruler in the world. This great emperor was the pendant's owner, Lord Grimm. He had returned to his homeland. The girl of the past had grown into a slender and elegant woman. Grimm, you're finally back. His fiancée had arrived, and he was very excited. His good friend had also come to congratulate him. It was as if nothing had happened between them. Both the man and woman knew what a great emperor represented. Being on good terms with a great emperor meant a noble status, endless wealth, and a status that countless people looked up to. High and mighty. Looking down at the countless starfields in the starry sky world. How have you been all these years? Lord Grimm asked. He seemed to be relieved, but who could understand the pain in his heart? He hadn't returned for so many years, and he still couldn't let go. This betrayal hurt him greatly. However, these two people were the people he trusted the most and were the closest to him. Grimm, I've always missed you. Under the cherry blossom tree, I've waited for you for many years. His fiancée said in a very calm manner. You're shameless. The girl was called Qin Xian. She had grown up a long time ago and wasn't as weak as before. Although she had only cultivated for a short time, she was very strong. When she saw that the woman in front of her was still trying to deceive Lord Grimm, Qin Xian was furious. She slapped the woman's face. You dare hit me? Who do you think you are? The woman was very angry. Her eyes could kill. Do you think others don't know what you've done? Bitch! Qin Xian cursed. Lord Grimm's good friend and fiancée's expressions changed drastically. They left dejectedly. Lord Grimm didn't stay in his homeland for too long. Perhaps he had already seen through everything and wouldn't blame those two anymore. It was just that they were like strangers now. Lord Grimm entered the starry sky world again. After Lord Grimm left, someone cut off the two people's heads and gave them to Qin Xian, perhaps to curry favor with her. Many people knew that after becoming a great emperor, Lord Grimm had returned to his homeland for Qin Xian. Chapter 1484. Perhaps the most vulnerable thing in this world was the relationship between a man and a woman. Distance, money, temptation, unwillingness to be lonely, and so on would cause a drastic change in a relationship. Therefore, between a man and a woman in this world, there were too many people who betrayed their loved ones and had sex with other men or women. If there was a first time, there would be a second time. This was the beginning of the fall. Seeing the heads of that adulterous couple being sent over, although Qin Xian felt very relieved, she felt even more heartache for Lord Grimm. For so many years, Lord Grimm had been hurt by this adulterous couple. Was it worth it? After Lord Grimm became a great emperor, Qin Xian cultivated even harder. She wanted to become a woman worthy of Lord Grimm. There was a sense of urgency in her heart. She worked hard to cultivate. Finally, one day, Qin Xian cultivated to the realm of a giant god. A female giant god. Her status was high. Qin Xian finally mustered up the courage to look for Lord Grimm. She entered the outer realm and roamed the starry sky. She followed the ancient starry sky path and went to many places that Lord Grimm had been to. She kept asking about Lord Grimm's whereabouts. The wasteland, he went there. Later, Qin Xian finally found out about Lord Grimm's whereabouts. The wasteland was an extremely terrifying place. Rumor had it that it was an abandoned place. There were also rumors that the wasteland was connected to the otherworld, immortal, underworld chaos, and Xianwang realms. Even great emperors wouldn't easily set foot in that place. Because it was too dangerous. The Otherworld, Immortal, Underworld Chaos, and Xianhuang realms were legendary worlds that surpassed the 3,000 great worlds. Danger lurked everywhere. It was hard to imagine how powerful the creatures inside were. Therefore, the wasteland connected to the four realms. Even great emperors might not be able to come out. Despite knowing the dangers of the wasteland, Qin Xian still went to the wasteland regardless of the danger. She didn't want to hide her feelings anymore. Ever since Lord Grimm rescued her in despair when she was 13 years old, she had liked Lord Grimm. As time passed, this liking turned into love. But Lord Grimm was too outstanding, and Qin Xian felt that she wasn't worthy of Lord Grimm. Therefore, in this life, she cultivated desperately. Now, 1,000,000 years had passed. She finally cultivated to the realm of a female giant god. She didn't want to continue waiting. She wanted to immediately express her feelings to Lord Grimm. The wasteland was very dangerous. This place was filled with endless killing intent. Qin Xian entered the wasteland, carefully and arduously surviving in the wasteland. She went to many places to inquire about Lord Grimm's whereabouts. 100 years passed by in a flash. Qin Xian finally found out about Lord Grimm, but this news nearly caused her to collapse. 3 years ago, a war between sovereigns erupted in the wasteland. Lord Grimm was killed by 3 sovereigns from foreign worlds. His corpse fell into the Emperor Burial Abyss in the depths of the wasteland. Rumor had it that more than one martial monarch was buried in the Emperor Burial Abyss. That was a place where everyone's expression changed when they talked about it. No one dared to enter the buried Emperor Abyss. However, Qin Xian did not hesitate and risked her life to enter the Emperor Burial Abyss. She saw Lord Grimm's corpse in the Emperor Burial Abyss. She laid in front of Lord Grimm's corpse and cried bitterly. In order to catch up to Lord Grimm's footsteps, she had worked hard her entire life, bitterly cultivating. Now, when Qin Xian felt that she had the qualifications to stand by Lord Grimm's side, however, Lord Grimm had died. You said that if you died one day, you wanted to turn into a pile of dirt and be buried in your homeland with your parents and ancestors. I'll take you home. Qin Xian carried Lord Grimm's corpse out and found the cyan coffin. The ancient ship in the starry sky carried the cyan coffin back to their homeland. Some strong cultivators from foreign worlds had their eyes on Qin Xian. They would not let her take the corpse away. A great emperor's corpse is unimaginably valuable. It should be our food. The strong cultivators from foreign worlds said coldly and attacked the ancient evildoer. The cultivators on the ancient ship died one after another. As for Qin Xian, she ignited her long lifespan to increase her battle prowess. In the end, she paid the price of being heavily injured and on the verge of death, killing several experts from the foreign worlds. There were also several experts from the foreign worlds that were sealed within the ancient ship. In the end, I can't take you back to your homeland, Qin Xian murmured. As she died, tears of sorrow fell from her eyes. A female god had died just like that. The scene disappeared. Lin Feng was speechless for a long time. He could not calm down. This female god had worked hard all her life to catch up to Lord Grimm's footsteps. In the end, the result was so sad. She had worked hard all her life to see Lord Grimm with excitement. But what she saw was a cold corpse. Great emperors are not invincible, muttered Lin Feng. In the 3,000 great worlds, great emperors were supreme beings who looked down on the heavens. But in a place like the wasteland, there was the immortal world, the netherworld, the primal chaos Xianhuang world, and the most mysterious experts from foreign worlds. Great emperors could be killed. In this world, it was filled with too many secrets, and too many terrifying experts. There really is a great emperor's corpse in the cyan coffin, said Duzu. His eyes were darting around. Obviously, he had other thoughts. Duzu said sadly, "It's such a touching story. Can you bear to watch them die and not be able to be together?" Lin Feng patted Duzu's shoulder and said, "I can't bear to, so let's open the cyan coffin and bury them together. This can be considered as fulfilling the female god's wish." Duzu nodded and said, "Young master, you're really a good person. My respect for you is endless, Lin Feng said. It's just a small matter. It's not worth mentioning. Please don't praise me like that. I'll become arrogant. Du Zhu chuckled and said, So, should we open the coffin now? Lin Feng had no objections. He walked to the back of the ship with Du Zhu. They were going to open the cyan coffin. The 36 chains emitted a cold and sinister aura. They had been coiling around the cyan coffin since time immemorial. Du Zhu put his palms together and said, Great Emperor, we're not being disrespectful by opening the coffin now. We just want to bury the female god who loved you so deeply together with you. Please don't blame us. Lin Feng also put his palms together and said, Great Emperor, the two of you couldn't be together when you were alive, but I hope that you can be together after death. If you have anything you don't need, this junior will take it and temporarily keep it for you. Du Zhu muttered inwardly, This kid seems even more shameless than me. He's actually saying that he's greedy for the great Emperor's treasure in such a pure and noble manner. Even I can't compare to this level of shamelessness. Of course, Du Zhu wouldn't say this out loud. He and Lin Feng jumped onto the cyan coffin. Du Zhu asked, What should we do now? Lin Feng said, I think we need to bring the cyan coffin onto the ancient ship. Otherwise, it won't be easy to open it. Chapter 1485. Du Zhu nodded and said, All right, let's do it now. Let's work together to lift this sarcophagus up. After that, Lin Feng and Du Zhu flew to the bottom of the sarcophagus. The two of them carried the sarcophagus, intending to lift it onto the ancient ship. Powerful magic power surged out, wrapping around the sarcophagus. They used all their strength, but the sarcophagus didn't budge at all. Holy shit, this cyan coffin is too strange. How heavy is it? Du Zhu immediately cried out gloomily. Lin Feng said, It's a sarcophagus that buried a great emperor, after all. It's indeed different. Following that, Lin Feng summoned his 3 poison clones to help lift the sarcophagus. However, they still failed. The sarcophagus still didn't budge. Strange, this is too strange. Du Zhu cried out gloomily. Lin Feng decided to wake Bibi up. Perhaps the little guy would have a way. Bibi had been sleeping all this time. Lin Feng guessed that Bibi was about to evolve. This was because every time an exotic beast was about to evolve, they would become more sleepy. Many exotic beasts completed their final metamorphosis while they were asleep. Lin Feng tried to wake the little guy up. Ya! Ya! After Bibi appeared, it opened its sleepy, watery eyes and looked pitifully at Lin Feng. Then, it waved its little paws, and 2 50,000-year-old spirit fruits appeared in its paws. The little guy grabbed the spirit fruits and started munching on them, enjoying them very much. This little guy isn't simple, Du Zhu muttered when he saw Bibi. However, when he thought about how Lin Feng was a freak, Du Zhu wasn't surprised by anything that happened around Lin Feng. After Bibi finished eating the spirit fruit, she burped, and her mental state became much more uplifted. Lin Feng rubbed Bibi's head and said, Little guy, help us get this coffin up. Ya! Ya! Bibi called out a few times. Lin Feng understood what Bibi meant and said to Du Zhu, Let's work harder and strive to succeed. Du Zhu nodded. Then, Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the 3 poison puppets once again lifted the stone coffin. However, the sarcophagus was too heavy, so he still failed this time. At this time, Bibi waved her little claws and shot out 7-colored energy. The 7-colored energy wrapped around the sarcophagus. Suddenly, Lin Feng felt the pressure on his body lessen by a lot. Du Zhu felt the same way. They tried their best to lift the sarcophagus again. This time, the sarcophagus was finally shaken. An hour later, with Bibi's help, they finally managed to lift the sarcophagus onto the ancient ship with great difficulty. Then, Lin Feng and Du Zhu were almost paralyzed with exhaustion as they lay on the ancient ship and panted heavily. This little guy is very extraordinary. The 7-colored light that he shot out seems to contain the power of time and space, Du Zhu said. Lin Feng nodded and said, Indeed, Bibi is still young and is not particularly skilled in using her power. If we wait until Bibi grows up, she will definitely be extremely heaven-defying. Bibi seemed to be hungry again after being busy for a while. She took out a few spirit fruits and began to chew on them. The little guy ate happily. After resting for a while, Lin Feng put away the 3 poison puppets and began to study the chains outside the cyan sarcophagus. In order to open the sarcophagus, one had to first undo the chains wrapped around the sarcophagus. Lin Feng discovered that the chains wrapped around the cyan sarcophagus were very special. There were some extremely strange restrictions placed on them. This kind of restriction actually left him clueless. Strange. What kind of restriction is this? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. Du Zhu knew that Lin Feng was a disciple of the Celestial Master's lineage. If it was a restriction that even Lin Feng couldn't break, then it must be extremely strange. You can't open the restriction on the chains? Du Zhu asked. Lin Feng nodded and said, If we can't open it, then we can only forcefully split it open. He took out the black dragon's sword. Clang! 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 He slashed out 3 times in a row. A series of clanging sounds could be heard, but the chain was not damaged at all. The chains were abnormally sturdy, and it was unknown what material they were made of. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. If the black dragon's sword couldn't break the chains, then he would have to break the restrictions on them. This would require a relatively long time to study the restrictions, and he wasn't confident that he could break the restrictions in the end. Let me give it a try, Du Zhu said. Lin Feng handed the black dragon's sword to Du Zhu. Du Zhu swung the sword at the chains. Hold on! Lin Feng suddenly shouted. Du Zhu looked at Lin Feng in confusion and asked, What's wrong? Did you discover something? Lin Feng said, I feel like something's not right. Du Zhu asked, What's not right? Lin Feng said, The giant goddess buried the emperor in the cyan coffin, but there's no need to use 36 chains to bind the coffin, right? Moreover, she placed the coffin at the stern of the ship. This ancient ship pulling a coffin is just too strange. Are you suspecting that the giant goddess wasn't the one who tied the 36 chains around the coffin, and that the giant goddess wasn't the one who placed the coffin in the void? Du Zhu asked. Lin Feng nodded. That's right. That's why there's only one explanation. Someone else did it. Who do you think is the most likely person to do such a thing? A cultivator from another world? Poison Ancestor sucked in a cold breath. Yeah. Yeah. At this moment, Bebe cried out loudly. He waved his little claws and pointed towards the cabin, a look of terror in his eyes. Dong 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 dong. Footsteps could be heard coming from the ancient ship. Following that, a cold aura spread out. Not good. Let's go, Lin Feng said in a low voice. He carried Bibi and rushed out of the ancient ship. Du Zhu followed closely behind, wanting to leave the ancient ship as well. However, at that moment, an energy barrier enveloped the entire ancient ship. Lin Feng and Du Zhu slammed into the energy barrier and were bounced back. We're trapped. Du Zhu's expression turned extremely unsightly. Lin Feng took a deep breath and looked at the ancient ship with a grave expression. Black fog churned. Footsteps could be heard coming from afar. Finally, a terrifying creature walked out of the ancient ship. It was a huge creature, about 3 meters tall. Its body resembled a human's, but it had the head of a wolf. It also had 8 spidery claws on its back. A creature from another world. Lin Feng couldn't help but gasp when he saw the creature. His face turned extremely pale. Chapter 1486. Lin Feng didn't know where the other world was, but Lin Feng knew how powerful and terrifying it was. The lunar monarch had led the cultivators of the banished world to resist the invasion of the other world cultivators. Although they'd defeated the other world cultivators, they'd suffered heavy injuries that couldn't be healed with medicine. The great Emperor Lord Grimm had also been killed by the 3 sovereigns of the other world. From this, it could be seen how powerful and terrifying the other world was. The cultivators of a world that could contend against the 3 realms were naturally extremely powerful. The death of the giant goddess was also due to these other world cultivators. Although the giant goddess had used up all of her lifespan to increase her battle prowess, she was still heavily injured by these other world cultivators. Before she died, she managed to seal these other world cultivators with great difficulty. Clearly, these cultivators from the other world had successfully broken free. "Despicable creature, you've disturbed my slumber. I'm going to tear you to shreds." This strange other-world cultivator's voice was cold and filled with endless killing intent. Then, he walked towards Lin Feng step by step. At this moment, Lin Feng discovered that something was wrong. This other-world cultivator's footsteps were unsteady, and his body was extremely thin. Apart from his bones, it seemed like he was only left with a layer of skin. "Is this because he's hungry?" Lin Feng muttered. The other world cultivator was in an extremely weak state. When he walked, Lin Feng wondered if he'd fall to the ground in the next moment. Moreover, this other world cultivator had an extremely strange power on him. It was actually the power of a curse. Was this cultivator from a foreign world cursed? Curse, this was a word that no cultivator would dare to utter when talking about it. Curses were too strange. Once curses were involved, many things couldn't be explained clearly. Just like this other world cultivator in front of him. Since he'd broken the seal, he could have left. Why? He didn't leave? And he was so hungry that he was only skin and bones. Even if he didn't leave, he could have eaten. There was no need to starve himself to this extent, right? Could it be that he had a tendency to harm himself? Lin Feng didn't know that this guy had a tendency to harm himself. Lin Feng guessed that this might be related to the curse. Seeing the otherworldly cultivator walking over, Lin Feng sneered and said, "You're already half dead. And yet you dare say that you can rip this young master's body to shreds? The way I see it, there must be something wrong with your head. Not just that, it is seriously wrong. Are all the cultivators from your otherworldly world as arrogant as you? Lowly creature, if I wasn't cursed by the monarch corpse and couldn't leave the ancient ship to enjoy any food, would I have ended up in such a miserable state? You woke me up from my slumber. Do you know how many years I will have to live if I wake up?" The foreign world's being's voice was cold. He took a step forward and arrived before Lin Feng. A palm struck out towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng was already prepared for this. He used the earth-shrinking technique to dodge the attack of the foreign cultivator and sent BB back into the beast's pouch. Then, Lin Feng activated the Death God armor to protect his body. At the same time, the 9 demons painting, the 3 poisonous puppets, and the regal sword tomb all flew out. In addition to Du Zhu's cooperation, Lin Feng unleashed his most ferocious attack on the foreign world's cultivator. Bang, bang, bang! All sorts of powerful attacks blasted towards the foreign world's cultivator. The destructive energy drowned the foreign world's cultivator. The 9 demons painting also suppressed the foreign world's cultivator. The 3 treasured swords slashed towards the foreign world's cultivator. The foreign world's cultivator unleashed his might. The 8 spider-like claws on his back swung about, blocking the attacks of the 3 treasured swords and the 9 demons painting. Then, he opened his mouth and inhaled. In an instant, Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the 3 poisonous puppets' attacks were all swallowed by the foreign world's cultivator. Then, the foreign world's cultivator opened his bloody mouth and spat out the attacks that he had swallowed. These attacks blasted towards Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng, the poison ancestor, and the 3 venomous puppets dodged the attack, but they were in a difficult situation. Du Zhu could not help but curse. This guy is about to die, but he's still so powerful. Lin Feng nodded with a solemn expression. The foreign world's cultivator had been cursed for so many years, and now he was only skin and bones from hunger. Whether it was his combat strength or vitality, he had already fallen to the lowest point. However, even in such a terrible situation, he still displayed such powerful combat strength. Lin Feng was somewhat helpless. "Lowly creatures, it's useless. You're too weak. Today, only death awaits you." The foreign world's creature's sinister voice sounded. He sent Lin Feng's 3 treasured swords and the 9 demons painting flying. Then, he rushed towards Lin Feng. This guy clearly wanted to get rid of Lin Feng first. Myriad Poisons Devil Monarch. Myriad Poisons Devil Monarch. Suddenly, Du Zhu shouted coldly. A terrifying aura that seemed capable of destroying heaven and earth surged out from Du Zhu's body. A tall figure appeared behind him. That mysterious existence took a step forward and waved his fist towards the foreign world's creature. Instantly, the starry sky began to collapse. Haha. I'll let you know my power. After using this divine ability, Du Zhu, who had condensed into the Myriad Poisons Devil Monarch, seemed to be unusually excited. This Myriad Poisons Devil Monarch was not an ordinary person. This person had cultivated the Tao of Poison to the point of being a master of creation. Du Zhu had been able to shake the world back then because he had obtained the Myriad Poisons Devil Monarch's inheritance. Now, Du Zhu was using this divine ability to summon the Myriad Poisons Devil Monarch's indestructible primordial spirit. This was also Du Zhu's trump card. At this moment, the three poisonous puppets each condensed an Emperor technique. The four-armed Sacred Demon Fist, the 9 slashes of the Demon Emperor, and the Myriad Demon Reincarnation Fist. These were the Emperor techniques of the Celestial Demon Clan. The three toxic puppets were controlled by Lin Feng. Since Lin Feng had learned this Emperor technique, the three toxic puppets could naturally use it as well. The three Emperor techniques blasted towards the foreign world's cultivator at the same time. At the same time, Lin Feng used the burning wrath of the heavens. The three types of heavenly fire compressed into a fireball that Lin Feng released. Boom! Then, the fireball exploded when it hit the foreign world's cultivator. Du Zhu's Myriad Poisons Devil Monarch's attack and the three toxic puppets' Emperor techniques bombarded the foreign world's cultivator at almost the same time. With so many powerful divine abilities exploding at the same time, a terrifying destructive force drowned the foreign world's cultivator. It's done! Lin Feng and Du Zhu's eyes lit up slightly. This kind of attack is really too weak. The foreign world's cultivator laughed sinisterly as he walked out of the center of the explosion. His body had only suffered very light injuries. Seeing this, Lin Feng and Du Zhu couldn't help but feel a chill run down their spines. They had already used all their trump cards. But they still couldn't hurt the foreign world's cultivator. Wasn't this foreign world's cultivator too terrifying? Chapter 1487. Lin Feng felt that things were getting troublesome. It was hard to imagine that the foreign cultivator, who already had one foot in the coffin, still had such terrifying strength. This made Lin Feng's hair stand on end. Now Lin Feng felt the threat of death. This foreign cultivator already had the strength to kill him. Even with Du Zhu's help, the three poison doppelgangers were no match for the foreign cultivator. The Divine Realm doppelgangers were now blocked by the light shield and could not enter to participate in this battle. Lin Feng still had the forbidden weapon, the purple lightning hammer, that he could use. However, the foreign cultivator in front of him was too powerful. Even if he used the purple lightning hammer, Lin Feng felt that it was impossible to defeat this foreign cultivator. Facing this foreign cultivator, Lin Feng really could not think of a good way to deal with him. However, at this moment, Lin Feng felt the back of his left arm start to heat up. In the past, in the Thunderblade Secret Realm, so many people schemed and plotted against each other in order to obtain the Devil World's treasure, the Ancient Devil Ring. Later, by chance, Lin Feng obtained the Ancient Devil Ring. However, he found that the Ancient Devil Ring was too strange. Therefore, Lin Feng threw away the Ancient Devil Ring. However, what Lin Feng did not know was that the Ancient Devil Ring he threw away turned into a Devil Ring pattern that was branded on his arm. Then, the pattern of the Ancient Devil Ring also fused into his skin. However, now that the pattern of the Ancient Devil Ring had appeared, waves of scorching energy gushed out from the pattern of the Ancient Devil Ring. Lin Feng was shocked. He used his divine sense to sense what was on his arm that caused such a strange situation to occur. When he sensed the pattern of the Ancient Devil Ring, his face changed slightly. Damn, the Ancient Devil Ring! Lin Feng was shocked. He recognized the Ancient Devil Ring immediately. This Ancient Devil Ring was full of strange things. Back then, he had clearly thrown it away. How did this thing appear on his arm? Boom! At the same time, the foreign cultivator rushed over, a palm striking towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng wanted to evade, but he discovered that the foreign cultivators had locked onto him. He had no choice but to quickly condense a Devil Emperor's 9 slashes, sweeping it towards the foreign cultivators. Bang! The two sides fiercely collided. Lin Feng felt as if he had been hit by an immemorial divine mountain. Lin Feng's body was sent flying, and his arm was broken. Lin Feng hurriedly operated his immortal divine body to heal his injuries. You really are too weak. Killing a lowly creature like you is as easy as crushing an ant. The foreign cultivator's voice was ice cold. He leapt out, and quickly arrived in front of Lin Feng. He stretched out his hand towards Lin Feng's chest. This powerful strike landed on Lin Feng's chest. Due to the protection of the Death God armor, this strike did not penetrate Lin Feng's chest. However, the powerful force broke all the bones around Lin Feng's chest. Du Zhu saw that Lin Feng's situation was not good. He quickly rushed over and slapped the foreign cultivator's head. Immediately after, the 3 poisonous puppets also rushed over and attacked the foreign cultivator. Humph! The foreign cultivator was abnormally strong. He swept out his right hand and directly sent Du Zhu and the 3 poisonous clones flying. Then, the foreign cultivator locked onto Lin Feng and charged towards Lin Feng again. This foreign cultivator must have seen that Lin Feng was the biggest threat, so he wanted to kill Lin Feng first. Lin Feng moved in advance and dodged the foreign cultivator's attack. He took a deep breath and activated his immortal divine body again. The broken bones around his chest were repaired. You lowly creature, you have some ability. You can actually take the initiative to repair your injured body quickly. However, what's the use of that? Your fate has already been decided, and that is to die at my hands. The foreign cultivator rushed towards Lin Feng again. We'll stop him. You go and break the restriction. Du Zhu shouted in a deep voice. The foreign cultivator was an existence that was almost impossible to fight against. Therefore, Du Zhu knew that the best way now was to stop the foreign cultivator while Lin Feng could break the restriction that enveloped the entire ancient ship. However, the restriction that enveloped the ancient ship was very powerful. The restriction transformed into an energy shield that was perfect and flawless. It was not an easy task to break such a restriction. However, no matter how difficult it was, this was the only way to survive. Lin Feng nodded and said, I will try my best to break the restriction as soon as possible. Wishful thinking. The foreign cultivator let out a sinister voice. This voice was mixed with deep disdain. In the next moment, the foreign cultivator took a step forward. A terrifying pressure spread out from the foreign cultivator's body. This pressure was like the might of an emperor. Du Zhu and the 3 poisonous puppets were enveloped by it, unable to break free. Not good, we're dead for sure. Du Zhu cried out in horror. The foreign cultivator once again arrived in front of Lin Feng and slashed down with his palm, directly locking onto Lin Feng. Lin Feng could not dodge and could only resist the foreign cultivator's attack. Lin Feng could feel how terrifying this attack was. This attack was much stronger than the previous ones. Therefore, in the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Feng knew that he could not resist, so he used the heaven mending technique. Whoosh! Lin Feng instantly disappeared without a trace. The foreign cultivator's killing blow was dodged by Lin Feng just like that. Meanwhile, Lin Feng arrived behind the foreign cultivator. His palms spat out saber light. His right hand was like a saber as he slashed out with the heaven-splitting slash, directly slashing towards the foreign cultivator's neck. Lin Feng wanted to directly chop off the foreign cultivator's head. The power of this attack was naturally quite astonishing. However, when this attack struck the foreign cultivator's neck, the foreign cultivator was completely fine. On the other hand, Lin Feng's right hand was broken by a powerful shockwave. The foreign cultivator's body was too hard. It was so hard that it was difficult to injure him. TSK, 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 TSK. Despicable ant, with your little ability, you want to hurt this lord? You're really delusional. The foreign cultivator grabbed towards Lin Feng. At this moment of extreme danger, a black mist suddenly surged out from Lin Feng's body. The black mist directly enveloped the foreign cultivator's body. This is the power of the demon realm. How can you have the power of the demon realm in your body? The foreign cultivator let out a terrified cry. The demon realm was one of the 7 supreme realms of the 3,000 great worlds. Although the foreign cultivators did not dare to underestimate the demon realm was also extremely terrifying. Even the foreign cultivators did not dare to underestimate the demon realm. Now, the power that surged out of the ancient devil ring made the foreign cultivator horrified. He wanted to force the black mist out of his body, but he was shocked to find that he could not do it. Waves of destructive power were corroding the foreign cultivator's body. The foreign cultivator let out a terrified cry. His body quickly withered, and his life force was instantly devoured. The foreign cultivator turned into a pile of bones that scattered on the ground. Chapter 1488. The cultivator from the other side died just like that. Lin Feng was dumbfounded. The poison ancestor was also abnormally shocked. How terrifying were the cultivators from the other side! They were so powerful that it made people despair. But now, they died just like that. It was unbelievable. Lin Feng naturally knew that it was because of the ancient devil ring. This supreme treasure of the devil world was too strange. It even devoured the life force of the cultivator from the other side. What's going on? Du Zhu looked at Lin Feng in confusion. He still didn't know why the cultivator from the other side died. Lin Feng said, "It's because of a treasure called the ancient devil ring. This treasure is on me, and it's extremely strange. Just now, the ancient devil ring devoured the cultivator's life force and turned him into a pair of bones." The ancient devil ring? One of the 5 great treasures of the devil world. Du Zhu sucked in a breath of cold air. Lin Feng was shocked. He didn't expect the ancient devil ring to have such a great origin. No wonder it could devour the cultivator's life force. It was actually one of the 5 great treasures of the devil world. Lin Feng didn't know what the 5 great treasures of the devil world were, but now wasn't the time to ask. The most important thing now was to break the restrictions and leave the ancient ship. This ancient ship was too strange. Who knew if there were even more powerful cultivators from the other side? Lin Feng was about to break the ancient ship's restrictions, but at this time, thumping sounds came from the ancient ship again. When he heard that sound, Lin Feng's expression changed. The poison ancestor's expression also turned abnormally ugly. Obviously, another cultivator from the other side came out. Not long after, the second cultivator from the other side came out. This cultivator looked very similar to a human. He was very handsome, and his upper body was naked. There were actually 9 demonic eyes on his body. This was the Evil Eye clan of the cultivators from the other side. The eyes on his body were abnormally terrifying and strange. It was said that the 9 eyes could see through the 3 realms and 6 paths. This evil-eyed clan cultivator's body was also incomparably thin. However, compared to the foreign cultivator who was killed earlier, this evil-eyed clan cultivator's skin was not as dry. Clearly, this evil-eyed clan cultivator was much more powerful than the foreign cultivator who had just died. Wu Lihan, that trash, actually died at the hands of you lowly creatures. You're a disgrace to our foreign world. The evil-eyed cultivator cursed in a low voice. The foreign cultivator who had died earlier was clearly the Wu Lihan he had mentioned. Lin Feng said, "Looks like you're also an otherworldly cultivator cursed by the Emperor Corpse. You didn't stay in the otherworldly world and instead came to the Trichiliacosm. Serves you right for your current fate." The foreign cultivator's brows immediately jumped, his eyes flickering with waves of awe-inspiring light. An ant actually dared to challenge his dignity. Wasn't this courting death? If this was the immortal ancient era, a lowly creature like you wouldn't even have the qualifications to speak to this one. The evil-eyed clan cultivator said coldly, casting a sidelong glance at Lin Feng, his eyes filled with disdain and contempt. An existence from the immortal ancient era? Du Zhu was shocked. The immortal ancient era was far earlier than the archaic era. This was a prosperous era before the archaic era. However, many things about the immortal ancient era had already become secrets, buried in the long river of history, unable to be explored. The experts of the immortal ancient era, the major events that happened, and even why the immortal ancient era ended, no one knew. This was because the era was too long ago. Therefore, everything about the immortal ancient era had become a secret. And now, this evil-eyed expert's words revealed the era he lived in. Immortal ancient era. That dazzling great era that had been buried by history. Lin Feng had heard of the immortal ancient era before, but it was only limited to the name. Everything else about the immortal ancient era was unfamiliar to Lin Feng. But now, he was actually meeting an expert who had survived from the immortal ancient era. This was truly inconceivable. This is not the immortal ancient era. You should have been buried by time long ago and turned into a pile of bones. How dare you be so arrogant? Do you believe that yours truly will cut off your head and kick it around like a ball? Lin Feng pursed his lips. The evil-eyed clan cultivator's mouth twitched violently. He had never seen such an arrogant human cultivator before. In the immortal ancient era, the human race was weak. Although there were experts, it was difficult for them to bear the great responsibility of reviving the human race. Several great emperors appeared one after another, but none of them were able to revive the human race. Just like Lord Grimm, who was killed by the 3 sovereigns of the foreign world. He wanted to restore the human race to the prosperity of the immortal ancient era, but in the end, he died miserably at the hands of the 3 sovereigns. Therefore, in the immortal ancient era, the status of the human race was very low. The evil-eyed clan cultivator naturally looked down on the human race. And Lin Feng was a human. It was normal for him to look down on Lin Feng. But the key point was that Lin Feng, who was no different from an ant in his eyes, dared to be so arrogant in front of him. This made the evil-eyed clan cultivator feel that his dignity was being challenged. He raised his right hand and grabbed at Lin Feng. A terrifying aura spread out. It was as if the entire world was about to freeze. The evil-eyed clan cultivator was indeed terrifying. He was far from being comparable to Wu Lihan from before. In such a dangerous situation, Lin Feng did not dare to be careless. He hurriedly injected his magic power into the ancient devil ring and activated it. After receiving Lin Feng's magic power, the ancient devil ring emitted an even stronger energy. The ancient devil ring was clearly very interested in devouring foreign cultivators. Otherwise, the ancient devil ring, which had been dormant for so long, would not have taken the initiative to appear. Lin Feng guessed that the life force of the foreign cultivators might be very special, and it would be extremely beneficial to the ancient devil ring. Right now, the ancient devil ring was emitting a large amount of black fog that surged towards the evil-eyed clan cultivator. Ancient devil ring. It has always been rumored that this demonic item was destroyed. It seems that the rumors are not true. The evil-eyed clan cultivator sneered, and the 9 eyes on his body shot out 9 blood-red rays of light. The 9 blood-red rays of light were extremely strange and extremely powerful. In an instant, they pierced through the black fog emitted by the ancient devil ring, and then pierced towards Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng was horrified. This evil-eyed clan cultivator was too powerful. Could it be that the ancient devil ring could not block the attack of this evil-eyed clan cultivator? If it could not block it, then wouldn't he die in the hands of this evil-eyed clan cultivator? Thinking of this, Lin Feng's expression became extremely ugly. Just as the evil-eyed clan cultivator's attack was about to pierce through Lin Feng's body. Suddenly, the ancient devil ring rune on Lin Feng's left arm suddenly emitted a shocking fluctuation. Then, the ancient devil ring rune turned into a real ancient devil ring. The ancient devil ring floated in front of Lin Feng. An ancient devil world appeared and directly enveloped the evil-eyed clan cultivator. Chapter 1489. Countless demons appeared in the ancient demonic world. Lin Feng recognized the heavenly demons and the earth demons, but there were also many demons that Lin Feng didn't recognize. For example, There was a type of demon whose entire body was dark green. They had a pair of huge wings and were covered in runes. Another example was the devil race. They actually had 4 legs and 8 heads. When they roared at the sky, mountains and rivers collapsed. These were all abnormally powerful devils. There were simply too many devils in the devil realm before them. There were so many that it was dazzling. Now, the demonic world was suppressing the evil-eyed cultivator. The demonic world was so powerful that it cracked the void as if it was going to end the world. The ancient devil ring is indeed strange. During the Great War of the Heavens, the experts of the demonic world used the 5 treasures of the demonic world to gain some status for the demonic world. Otherwise, how could the demonic world be compared to the 3 realms and the other realms? However, the ancient devil ring is no longer the ancient devil ring of the past. Today, I will destroy this ring and destroy this demonic thing. The evil-eyed cultivator looked indifferent. This person was too powerful. Although he was suppressed by the ancient devil ring, he soon broke through the suppression formed by the ancient devil ring. The evil-eyed clan cultivator stepped forward and unleashed a barrage of punches at the ancient demon world created by the ancient demon ring. The demonic world was shaken by the evil-eyed cultivator. Kill! Lin Feng felt that something was wrong. He took out the 9 demons painting and attacked the evil-eyed cultivator. If the evil-eyed cultivator was allowed to attack, the ancient devil ring wouldn't be able to withstand his attacks. Du Zhu and the 3 godly state clones helped Lin Feng activate the 9 demons painting. The 9 demons painting's powerful power was displayed. Waves of destructive power surged out. The 9 demons painting swept across the void. The surrounding void began to crack. Seeing the 9 demons painting coming, the evil-eyed cultivator didn't dare to be careless. After all, the 9 demons painting was an imperial weapon. The evil-eyed cultivator showed his power and attacked the 9 demons painting with his left hand. His right hand blasted toward the devil world. Fighting 1 against 2, he was able to handle it with ease. Lin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. Wasn't this guy too powerful? Lowly ants, your resistance is useless. Very soon you'll know how stupid you are. No matter how much you struggle, you can't escape from the hands of a dragon, said Lin Feng. The evil-eyed race cultivators laughed coldly. As far as he was concerned, he had everything under control. Lin Feng's expression was gloomy. The current situation was indeed very bad. If this continued, it would be a dead end sooner or later. Looking at the battlefield of life and death from afar, even though we know that there is no chance of survival, we have no regrets even if we die, for the sake of protecting the future of humanity. Suddenly, a low voice sounded. Holy light intertwined. The Saint Emperor Stone flew out. At this moment, the Saint Royal Stone emitted a powerful wave of energy. The blood of the former Holy Emperor Shi ran and the weapons Saint Han Fizi. This was the ancient Saint Emperor of the human race. His blood dyed the outer space world red. The origin Emperor blood spilled on the meteorite, and in the end, it became the Saint Royal Stone. Back in the ancient battlefield of gods and demons, in the weapon burial valley, Lin Feng had narrowly escaped death and almost died. Fortunately, the Saint Royal Stone had shown its power and protected him. However, that great battle had consumed a lot of the Saint Royal Stone. After many years, the Saint Royal Stone could no longer show its power. It seemed to be in a state of silence and recovery. Now, the Saint Royal Stone sensed the aura of the foreign cultivators and awakened again. Whether it was the Saint Royal Stone or the ancient devil ring, they seemed to have shown their power because of the foreign cultivators. Then, what happened in the past? Why did the ancient devil ring and the Saint Royal Stone show such hostility to the foreign cultivators? Lin Feng didn't know, but he knew that the Saint Royal Stone could help him now. The Saint Royal Stone shot out a ray of holy light towards the evil-eyed race cultivator. Bang! This attack swept across the evil-eyed race cultivator's body and immediately sent him flying. The evil-eyed race cultivator's expression was extremely gloomy because this attack had injured him. The holy light was terrifying, and it actually penetrated the evil-eyed race cultivator's body. The evil-eyed race cultivator's 9 eyes were dripping blood. In that instant, Lin Feng clearly felt that the evil-eyed race cultivator's battle strength seemed to have decreased greatly. Lin Feng's spirit suddenly shook. The evil-eyed race cultivator was not without weaknesses. The 9 eyes on his body were very powerful, and the attacks he shot out were boundless. However, the 9 eyes on his body seemed to be his weakness, and it was an extremely fatal weakness. Lin Feng controlled the 9 devil painting and also attacked the eyes on the evil-eyed race cultivator's body. Bang! This attack landed on the evil-eyed race cultivator's eyes, and the 9 eyes were bleeding from the shock. "I'm so angry!" the evil-eyed race cultivator roared. "If this was the immortal ancient era, I would have destroyed you with a flick of my finger. Don't wallow in the past. Today, we should be the ones to destroy you." Lin Feng sneered and continued to attack the evil-eyed race cultivator's eyes with the 9 devil painting with Du Zu's 3 poison doppelgangers. The Sage King Stone also displayed its might. Holy light intertwined, and rays of holy light swept towards the evil-eyed race cultivator. The devil world formed by the ancient devil ring became more and more real, as if the eternal devil world was about to appear in the world. Its power was boundless. It was so terrifying that it made one's soul tremble. The 3 parties joined forces and attacked the evil-eyed race cultivator together. Although the evil-eyed race cultivator's cultivation level was high, he was in big trouble now. Bam! He was sent flying. His 9 eyes looked like they were about to explode. He had suffered a great deal of damage, and his aura was rapidly weakening. His battle strength was also sharply decreasing. "Ah!" the evil-eyed race cultivator roared, his black hair fluttering in the wind. His eyes flashed with endless killing intent. "You have completely infuriated me." His voice was like ice, and he did not retreat. Instead, he walked step by step towards Lin Feng and the others. "Kill him with all you've got!" Lin Feng roared, and his powers surged into the 9 demons painting. He wanted to seize this rare opportunity to kill the evil-eyed race cultivator. The Sage Kingstone and Ancient Devil Ring also released an even stronger attack. But at this moment, the evil-eyed race cultivator roared. "Today, I will let you have a taste of the power of my domineering aura." Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying aura surged out from the evil-eyed race cultivator's body. This was the legendary, domineering aura. It was rare to see someone with domineering aura in all the worlds. Even a great emperor might not be able to do so. The fact that the evil-eyed race cultivator was releasing his domineering aura meant that he must have an extraordinary status in this foreign world. Thump thump. Lin Feng felt as if all the energy in his body had been sucked away, and he fell to the ground. Du Zu and the 3 poison clones were no exception. Under the domineering aura, they lost control of their bodies and fell to the ground. The Ancient Devil Ring and Sage Kingstone that were floating in the air also fell to the ground. This was domineering aura, and it was terrifying. Chapter 1490. Domineering Aura. It was a legendary ability. Domineering Aura had countless uses. Attack, defense, intimidation, and so on. Domineering Aura could be cultivated. However, if one wanted to cultivate Domineering Aura, it was an extremely difficult task. It was said that one had to cultivate Domineering Aura after birth. One had to learn 9 forces first. For example, Lin Feng had now learned 3 forces: Battle Force, Heaven Punishing Battle Intent, and White Tiger Killing Intent. Although he had only learned 3 forces, it was already extremely rare among cultivators. The comprehension of forces was extremely difficult. Every time one comprehended an additional force, if one wanted to comprehend a new force, it would be even more difficult. And there was one more point. Even if one could really comprehend 9 forces. However, if one wanted to master the 9 forces and turn them into domineering aura, this was also as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Therefore, since ancient times, there were too few people who could comprehend domineering aura. It was as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. Perhaps it was because there were too few people who had domineering aura. As a result, very few cultivators still believed in the existence of domineering aura. Many cultivators thought that it was just a fleeting rumor. Before this, Lin Feng even thought that domineering aura was just a legend. But today, he saw domineering aura. The domineering aura displayed by the evil-eyed race cultivators was acquired domineering aura. But other than acquired domineering aura, there was also a type of domineering aura. That was innate domineering aura. Those who had innate domineering aura were born with domineering aura. However, if there was no opportunity, this kind of domineering aura might not be able to be released in their entire lives, let alone control it. And those who had innate domineering aura were even rarer. It was either the inheritance of the race or the blessing of the heavens. Domineering aura was divided into 9 colors. Transparent, which meant that it could not be seen, but it could be sensed. This was the most basic type of domineering aura. The domineering aura displayed by the evil-eyed race cultivators was transparent. Next was white domineering aura, red domineering aura, orange domineering aura, yellow domineering aura, green domineering aura, blue domineering aura, and the supreme purple domineering aura. Different domineering aura naturally had different power. High-level domineering aura could often restrain low-level domineering aura. Therefore, there was a suppressive relationship between the different domineering auras. Once the supreme purple domineering aura was released, any domineering aura would be suppressed, and it would be difficult to display the might of the domineering aura. Seeing the domineering aura displayed by the evil-eyed race cultivator, he was shocked. Du Zhu was scared out of his wits. "You're actually a domineering person!" Du Zhu cried out in horror. He knew what domineering represented. Since ancient times, there had been countless geniuses, heroes, and emperors. People who could be domineering were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. Therefore, he wanted to meet someone with a domineering aura. That was an extremely difficult task. If it was in the immortal ancient era or the archaic era, it would be a dazzling great era. People with domineering auras were even rarer than great emperors. From this, one could see how difficult it was to possess a domineering aura. Du Zhu was fully aware of how terrifying a cultivator with a domineering aura was. In the face of such an existence, there was simply no way to resist. "Despicable ants, do you know the difference between us now?" the evil-eyed race cultivator said condescendingly. He walked over step by step, his domineering aura enveloping the world. Lin Feng and Du Zhu were powerless to resist. Even the sage royal stone and the ancient devil ring had been suppressed. "Am I really going to die here?" Lin Feng didn't want to give up. There were still too many things he needed to do. In the depths of the starry sky world, he needed to rescue his mother, who was being suppressed by the 9 heavens god-burying coffin. The Lin family's clansmen had been captured by a sky-covering hand, and their whereabouts were unknown. Lin Feng still needed to find his family. His father had entered the starry sky world, and he wondered how he was doing now. Back then, his uncle had been killed. Where was his enemy? "I can't die!" Lin Feng gritted his teeth and circulated the sovereign's emperor blood in his body. Wisps of ruler force burst out of his body. At that moment, something shocking happened. The evil-eyed race cultivator's transparent domineering aura was actually absorbed by Lin Feng's sovereign blood. Then, the portion of transparent domineering aura that was absorbed surged into the deepest part of Lin Feng's devouring martial soul. There seemed to be a dormant power in the deepest part of the devouring martial soul. Now, the transparent domineering aura had stimulated that dormant power. "Ah!" shouted Lin Feng furiously. He crawled back up from the ground. Boom! Then, a purple domineering aura spread out from Lin Feng's body. Innate domineering aura. The supreme purple domineering aura. "How can this be?" The evil-eyed race cultivator let out a terrified cry. "Heavens, the legendary purple domineering aura! He actually has innate domineering aura!" Du Zhu cried out in horror. When the purple domineering aura spread out, the ancient ship was shaken to the point that it cracked, and the restriction that enveloped the ancient ship instantly shattered. The purple domineering aura instantly broke through the evil-eyed race cultivator's transparent domineering aura. Then, the purple domineering aura exploded on the evil-eyed race cultivator's body. I never thought that I would be able to see the legendary purple domineering aura in my life, the evil-eyed race cultivator muttered. Bang! In the next moment, his body could not withstand the purple domineering aura emitted from Lin Feng's body and directly shattered. With a thump, Lin Feng couldn't stand it anymore. He fell to the ground and fainted. 9 Demon Picture. Ancient Demon Ring. Sacred Royal Stone. The 3 poisonous clones turned into streaks of light and entered Lin Feng's body. Purple domineering aura, who is it? Who has the purple domineering aura? At that moment, a low voice came from the depths of the ancient ship. An even more powerful being from another world had awakened. Let's go. Du Zhu crawled up from the ground and carried Lin Feng back to the ancient ship, fleeing into the distance. Boom! At that moment, a terrifying aura spread out, and 3 cultivators from another world walked out of the ancient ship. Where do you think you're going? One of the cultivators from the foreign worlds opened his hand and tried to grab the supreme ancient starry sky ship. Ah, it's over! Du Zhu cried out in fright. Buried in the starry sky, forgotten by people, accompanied by the stars of the universe, this is our final destination. At that moment, a mysterious voice rang out from the ancient evil-eyed race. The sarcophagus in which Sovereign Lord Grimm was buried shook slightly. A wave of cursed power swept across the bodies of the 3 foreign cultivators. The 3 cultivators seemed to have been drained of all energy, and their bodies collapsed on the deck. Lord Grimm, you were scheming against us even in death, we hate you! The 3 extraordinarily powerful cultivators from the other worlds roared furiously. Du Zhu quickly seized the opportunity and changed course, quickly leaving the ancient evil-eyed race. Chapter 1491. After an unknown amount of time, Lin Feng woke up. You're finally awake, Du Zhu said excitedly when he saw Lin Feng wake up. Lin Feng sat up from the ground, feeling extremely weak. He only remembered that when he had faced the evil-eyed cultivator, he had communicated with the mysterious power in the depths of his devouring martial spirit. Then, that power broke out of his body. The evil-eyed cultivator's body collapsed, and he fainted. The evil-eyed cultivator is dead? Lin Feng asked. Poison Ancestor nodded and said, That's right, the evil-eyed cultivator is already dead. He was killed by the purple chi you released. I have chi in my body, whispered Lin Feng. He didn't know he had chi in his body before. He didn't know that he had a chi aura until this moment. Is it because I have the bloodline of the Sovereign Emperor clan? Lin Feng frowned as he pondered. He felt that there was a possibility. The purple chi aura was dormant in his devouring martial spirit, which he had inherited from his mother. At that moment, Du Zhu looked up at the sky and sighed. Some people spend their entire lives trying to condense a chi aura, but in the end, they are powerless. Some people are born with a chi aura, and the heavens and earth are jealous of them. Lin Feng said, This world has always been unfair. The Poison Ancestor nodded and said, In this world where people eat people without spitting out the bones, only by grasping great power can one change one's fate. Speaking of which, is the supreme aura in your body inherited? Lin Feng said, Perhaps. Damn. I never thought that the legendary Sovereign Emperor clan would be so terrifying. They even have a chi aura that can be passed down through their bloodline. Du Zhu cried out in shock. Lin Feng said, My mother's clan is indeed extraordinary. After a pause, Lin Feng asked, How long have I been unconscious? About 10 days, Du Zhu said. Are we still in the Death Star Sea? Lin Feng asked. Du Zhu grinned. We came out a long time ago. I don't know if it's because your purple aura broke through the interference of the Death Star's magnetic field, but after you released your purple aura that day, we rushed out of the Death Star so quickly. Lin Feng let out a long breath and said, The Death Star ocean is too strange, but it's already a blessing that I was able to escape. My body is extremely weak right now, and it seems that I'll need to recover for a while. The purple aura of the sovereign is too overbearing. You are still unable to control it. If it weren't for the fact that your fleshly body is strong enough, when the purple aura of the sovereign was unleashed, before the evil-eyed cultivator was killed, you might have already died. Duzu said. Lin Feng nodded and said in agreement, That's right. As expected of the sovereign's aura. If you want to use it, you'll need to be at least at the Void God realm. It'll be difficult. When you reach the Void God realm, you can try to use the purple aura of the sovereign in your body. I feel that a Void God or even a Divine Flame Realm cultivator wouldn't be able to control such a powerful aura. If it weren't for the evil-eyed cultivator's transparent aura, the aura hidden in your body wouldn't have been released. Du Zhu had been a quasi-emperor in the past, so he was very knowledgeable. He shared some of his insights with Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, There's no rush to use the aura of the aura. After all, I have an innate aura of the sovereign, so I'll be able to control it sooner or later. The ancient ship continued to sail through the starry sky. Lin Feng took 7 days to recover from his weak body. After his body recovered, Lin Feng tried to communicate with the purple aura of the sovereign in his body. However, Lin Feng tried many times and failed. It was just as Du Zhu had said. Lin Feng was still unable to truly control the purple aura of the sovereign. Boom! Suddenly, a violent fluctuation came from the distance, followed by the sound of battle cries. In the silent starry sky, the sound of battle cries could travel very far. There seems to be a big battle, Du Zhu said. Lin Feng nodded and ordered his clone to continue forward. Not long after, they saw a big battle taking place in the starry sky. 10 huge ancient ships surrounded the other 2 ancient ships. The starstone cannons on the ancient ships kept shooting out shells, bombarding the 2 ancient ships that were surrounded. Each of the 10 ancient starry sky ships had a huge flag with a skull on it. Pirate flag? Lin Feng was surprised. Du Zhu said, They're space pirates. The starry sky world is just like the sea, there are also bandits. Those 2 ancient ships won't be able to hold on for long. Change course, we'll go around, Lin Feng said. The doppelganger at immortal state immediately changed his course. Lin Feng wasn't a savior. The space pirates were obviously very powerful. He wasn't noble enough to put himself in danger just to save some people he didn't know. After changing course, the ancient ship continued to fly. About 10 days later, Lin Feng's ancient ship bumped into 3 other ancient ships. The 3 ancient ships weren't very big, but they were all guarded by deities. Brother, are you going to Lanrua Star? The deities on the first ancient ship asked. Lin Feng said, We're not going to Lanrua Star. We're going to another planet. If we're not going to Lanrua Star, we'll definitely pass by it. This ancient starry sky path passes by Lanrua Star. The deities on the second ancient ship said. The deities on the third ancient ship said, Brother, there's a group of cosmic fantasy demons on this ancient starry sky path. We'll pass by their territory. Let's travel together. It'll be safer that way. Cosmic fantasy demons? Lin Feng was surprised. He had heard of such ferocious beasts in the starry sky. They were extremely terrifying and bloodthirsty. Since there were cosmic fantasy demons here, Lin Feng didn't have any objections. He said, All right, let's travel together. I'm Wang Dongqin. I'm Shui Mingyuan. I'm Situ Jinglei. Brother, how should I address you? The 3 godly cultivators introduced themselves and asked about Lin Feng's social status. I'm Lin Feng. The 4 ancient ships formed a temporary fleet and traveled along the ancient starry sky path. About 5 days later, fog started to appear in the starry sky world. Everyone, be careful. We're about to reach the territory of the cosmic fantasy demons, Wang Dongqin said solemnly. Chapter 1492. Astral fantasy goblins were very mysterious beasts. Even in ancient books, there were very few records about them. Perhaps because there were too few records, the astral fantasy goblins were even more terrifying. They hid in the starry sky world and sometimes attacked cultivators who came and went. Astral fantasy goblins were cruel and cunning. Therefore, the best way to deal with them was to travel together. If there were enough people, they might be able to scare the astral fantasy goblins away. Fog covered the starry sky world. For ancient starships flew in the starry sky world. There were many islands floating in front of them. The islands weren't very big. The bigger ones were a few dozen acres, and the smaller ones were only a few dozen square meters. Numerous islands floated past the ancient starry sky ship. The starry sky world is full of strange places. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh when he saw the islands floating in the sky. At that moment, Xue Mingyuan took out 4 bottles and gave them to Lin Feng, Wan Dongchen, and Sita Jinglei. "What's this?" asked Lin Feng curiously. Xue Mingyuan said, "This is the oil extracted from the flaming golden-eyed beast's body. If we ignite it now, if any illusory void demons try to sneak into the ancient boat, they will appear when they come into contact with the energy emitted by the oil. They are extremely cunning, so if we see them on the boat, we must kill them as soon as possible. Otherwise, the illusory void demons will take advantage of the situation, and we will be in danger. Thank you, Brother Xue, for the treasures." Lin Feng, Wang Dongchen, and Sita Jinglei cupped their fists. "Haha, you're too courteous!" Xue Mingyuan cupped his fists. Back in the cabin, Lin Feng lit up the flaming golden-eyed beast's oil. In an instant, a faint fragrance wafted out and filled the entire cabin. The ancient starship continued sailing. Lin Feng sat down cross-legged and studied spells and skills. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Nothing strange had happened during that time. When they passed by an area covered in fog, a gloomy and cold aura poured into the cabin from outside. The gloomy qi was very weak, but Lin Feng's perception was very strong. Therefore, Lin Feng still sensed that cold aura. Du Zhu also sensed something and opened his eyes. They looked towards the entrance of the cabin. More than a dozen footprints appeared on the ground. "Starry Sky Fantasy Demon." Lin Feng and Du Zhu looked at each other. This Starry Sky Fantasy Demon was so strange that it could turn invisible. If it wasn't for the special energy released by the burning fat of the flaming golden-eyed beast that caused the Starry Sky Fantasy Demon to appear, Lin Feng and Du Zhu wouldn't have been able to find their specific location. If that was the case, it would be dangerous. "Attack!" Lin Feng and Du Zhu shot forward at the same time, charging towards the astral illusion demons. They did not need to see the complete appearance of the Starry Sky Fantasy Demon. They only needed to see the footprints that kept appearing on the ground to know where the Starry Sky Fantasy Demon was. Screech! The Starry Sky Fantasy Demons issued a sharp and ear-piercing cry. More than a dozen Starry Sky Fantasy Demons turned around and fled outside. "Seal!" Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He waved his right hand and sealed the cabin, trapping more than a dozen Starry Sky Fantasy Demons inside. At that moment, he and Du Zhu rushed forward, wanting to kill the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons. However, who would have thought that the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons would instantly tear apart Lin Feng's great array and escape without a trace? At the same time, the sharp and ear-piercing cries of the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons could be heard from the other 3 ancient ships. Clearly, the cultivators on the other 3 ancient ships had also discovered the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons hiding in the cabin. They immediately attacked the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons. However, the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons were very cunning. They disappeared in the blink of an eye. Xue Mingyuan seemed to have a good understanding of the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons. He said in a deep voice, "These Starry Sky Fantasy Demons are the most cunning and fickle. After failing once, they will definitely not give up. Everyone must be alert." Everyone nodded. Now that they were in the territory of the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons, no one dared to slack off. After an unknown amount of time, a moving song could be vaguely heard in the Starry Sky world. On a summer morning, I was carefully pacing around. Outside the planet's ancient castle, I waited for my lover, a starry sky traveler. When I talked to him, he looked very sad. I say, William, once you leave, I'm afraid you will never come back. His hair was naturally curly. His eyes were dark and deep. Wherever he goes, I will be happy. I will wander, with tears and melancholy. Only for my happy and brave starry sky traveler, until the day he returns. I will tell you the whole story now. My father was a merchant. He now lives in the beautiful Tianluan planet. His wealth was so great that even the castle could not hold it. His daughter was his sore point, because she fell in love with a starry sky traveler. I don't care about wealth, property, or gold coins. True love is deeply engraved in my heart. I only want that brave starry sky traveler. Even if he travels millions of miles, he will still be poor when he returns. I still open my gentle arms and affectionately hug my happy starry sky traveler. My starry sky traveler smiles. It is as clear as a beautiful May day. We often stroll on the main road outside the Tianluan planet's ancient castle. There are many young and beautiful girls there, nestled in the arms of their happy and brave starry sky traveler. When this song played, everyone was mesmerized. This was a song written for starry sky travelers. And the cultivators on the ancient ship were all starry sky travelers. Who knew how lonely they were when they were sailing in the starry sky? Who knew how lonely they were when they were sailing in the starry sky? Those starry sky travelers would also miss their loved ones. My arms are open to you. Brave starry sky traveler, please come out of the cabin. This is a beautiful planet. Here. You will receive warmth. There are women who love you here. There is a tenderness that is hard to part with. When the beautiful voice resounded in their minds, many people were infected and walked out of the cabin step by step. Brave starry sky traveler. I am beautiful and passionate. I am the person you love the most. I am waiting for you here. My warm arms. Open only for you. The light and beautiful voice sounded again. Lin Feng was also infected by this beautiful song. He was like the other cultivators on the ancient ship. Step by step he walked out. Yes. He should take a look at what kind of beautiful woman could sing such a beautiful song. Lin Feng walked out of the cabin and looked into the distance. In the depths of the starry sky, there was an island floating. It was a huge starry sky island. And on the island, there were many beautiful women. They were the ones who sang that beautiful song. Chapter 1493. They were so beautiful, and their voices were so pleasant to the ears. They looked in his direction, their beautiful eyes filled with deep affection. I'm willing to give my love, I'm willing to snuggle in your arms, I'm willing to be your woman, I'm willing to love you forever. The beautiful women called out softly, their voices gentle and filled with love. I seem to have found love. I never thought that there would be a day when such a beautiful woman would be willing to be with me. Quick, let's go over. Many people said excitedly as they drove their ancient ships towards the island where the beautiful women were. Even Lin Feng gave the same order. He also wanted to see those beautiful women. No man would be able to resist their temptation. 4 ancient ships sailed towards the island one after another. The first ship to arrive at the island was Situ Jinglei's ancient ship. Many beautiful women walked onto their ancient starry sky ship. The cultivators hugged the beautiful women they liked and started to make love to them. Quick, I can't wait any longer. The cultivators on the other 2 ancient ships impatiently shouted. They did not want to wait any longer. They wanted to be like the cultivators on Situ Jinglei's ancient ship. They wanted to make love to those beautiful women. They wanted to experience the gentleness of those beautiful women. Lin Feng looked at the scene in front of him. He felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what it was. Now, his supreme ancient starry sky ship was also flying towards the island. There were already more than a dozen beautiful women waiting to board Lin Feng's ancient ship. They were of different shapes and sizes, each with their own merits, but they were all beautiful. Now they were posing in all kinds of seductive poses, luring Lin Feng over. Even though Lin Feng was used to seeing beautiful women, he couldn't help but feel a little restless at this moment. Du Zhu waved his hand and called out, "Hello, beautiful women, your figures are great. Beautiful women, do you know how to dance?" Later I'll dance the old man pushing the cart with you. Beautiful women, can you sing a little song? I like to listen to asterisk 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 asterisk. The ancient ship was approaching the island. Lin Feng could even smell the alluring body fragrance of those beautiful women. If they were a normal man, now, they probably wanted to go to the island to show off their prowess. However, Lin Feng's Dao heart was firm. Although there were waves in his heart, Lin Feng instinctively felt that something was wrong and restrained the desire in his heart. Then, he opened the heavenly demon snake eye. However, Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath when he saw what was going on with the snake's eyes. The beauties he had seen before were not beauties at all. Instead, they were monsters. Those monsters had bodies that resembled fish. Its head was incomparably huge and ferocious. Sharp fangs protruded from its bloody mouth. Starry Sky Fantasy Demon! These monsters are Starry Sky Fantasy Demons! Lin Feng couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He shouted, Wake up quickly! Those beauties are all Astral Fantasy Demons. Everyone has been pulled into an illusion by them. Lin Feng's shout immediately startled many people awake. The cultivators who were hugging the beauties opened their eyes. Only then did he realize that he wasn't hugging a beauty. It was clearly an extremely ugly Starry Sky Fantasy Demon. Screech! Those Starry Sky Fantasy Demons let out sharp screeches and opened their bloody mouths. Then, they bit off the head of the cultivator in front of them. Even the deity realm Sikong Jinglei didn't escape this calamity. All the cultivators on Sikong Jinglei's ancient Starry Sky ship died tragically. And Lin Feng, Wang Dongchen, and Xue Mingyuan's ship had yet to reach the island where the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons were located. They also didn't have any physical contact with the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons, so they managed to escape this calamity. How could they dare to stay? They quickly rushed into the cabin and controlled the ancient Starry Sky ship to fly into the distance. Screech! One by one, the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons jumped up and directly jumped onto the ancient Starry Sky ship. Lin Feng's supreme ancient Starry Sky ship only had him and Du Zhu, so it was easy for them to enter the cabin. But Wang Dongchen and Xue Mingyuan's ancient Starry Sky ship had many people, so many people couldn't enter the cabin and fought with the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons on the deck. There were just too many Starry Sky Fantasy Demons. Many people died tragically and were eaten by the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons. Lin Feng's supreme ancient Starry Sky ship also suffered from the attacks of the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons. But Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the three highly toxic puppets worked together. Du Zhu brought out all kinds of poisons, while Lin Feng and the three highly toxic puppets were responsible for killing the poisoned Starry Sky Fantasy Demons. The deity realm clone controlled the ancient Starry Sky ship and rushed into the distance. Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the three highly toxic puppets cooperated very well. A large number of Starry Sky Fantasy Demons were killed, but those Starry Sky Fantasy Demons were also very smart. They found Lin Feng and Du Zhu hiding in the cabin and attacked. Therefore, the densely packed Starry Sky Fantasy Demons began to attack Lin Feng's Supreme Ancient Starry Sky ship. The restrictions on the Supreme Ancient Starry Sky ship were easily torn apart by these Starry Sky Fantasy Demons. Then, the Supreme Ancient Starry Sky ship's hull was damaged. Kacha, kacha! The Supreme Ancient Starry Sky ship began to crack, and numerous cracks appeared. The situation was extremely bad. More and more Starry Sky Fantasy Demons gathered outside, and the Supreme Ancient Starry Sky ship was clearly unable to hold on. Lin Feng shouted, These Starry Sky Fantasy Demons are too powerful. We need to abandon the ship and leave. He brought out the 4 vicious cauldrons. Then, Lin Feng, Du Zhu, the deity realm clone, and the 3 highly toxic puppets all entered the 4 vicious cauldrons. They activated the 4 vicious cauldrons together. The 4 vicious cauldrons were activated and directly slammed into the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons outside. Bang, bang, bang! The Starry Sky Fantasy Demons surrounding the ancient Starry Sky ship were all sent flying. Many of the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons were directly killed. At the same time, Wang Dongchen and Shui Mingyuan led the cultivators on their ship to abandon the ship and break out. After paying a heavy price, they finally tore an opening and escaped. The Starry Sky Fantasy Demons did not intend to let Lin Feng, Wang Dongchen, Shui Mingyuan, and the others leave. A large number of Starry Sky Fantasy Demons quickly chased after them. The three forces fled in different directions. A large number of Starry Sky Fantasy Demons locked onto the four vicious cauldrons. These Starry Sky Fantasy Demons were abnormally fast, and it was impossible to shake them off. In the distance, there were even more Starry Sky Fantasy Demons pouncing over. If they were entangled by these Starry Sky Fantasy Demons, only death would await them. They're like ghosts that won't disperse. Lin Feng's expression was gloomy. He took out two divine artifacts and directly detonated them. Although it was a little painful to destroy two divine artifacts, in order to survive, this was the only way. The power of the divine artifact's self-detonation was too terrifying. The destructive energy swallowed a large number of Starry Sky Fantasy Demons, and many of them were killed by the explosion. There were also many Starry Sky Fantasy Demons who quickly retreated to avoid this terrifying attack. The divine artifact's self-detonation was able to temporarily block the pursuing Starry Sky Fantasy Demons. Lin Feng took advantage of this rare opportunity, and activated the four vicious cauldrons to quickly escape. After flying for more than 6 hours, he discovered that there were no more Starry Sky Fantasy Demons chasing after them. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. They had finally shaken off the Starry Sky Fantasy Demons. Chapter 1494. I wonder if Wang Dongchen, Shui Mingyuan, and the others managed to escape. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. Du Zhu replied. These people have been traveling in space for a long time, so they're quite capable. Lin Feng nodded and said, These astral illusion demons are really powerful. Even you and I were confused by their illusions. How unimaginable. When the poison ancestor thought about those cosmic fantasy demons, he still felt a chill run down his spine. He said, That's right. There are indeed many terrifying races in this starry sky world, and there are even many races that are stronger than the cosmic fantasy demons. The astral world was vast and boundless. Danger lurked everywhere. Lin Feng was already used to the dangers of the astral world. He wouldn't be surprised if any terrifying creatures appeared in the astral world. Now that they didn't have an ancient ship, they could only use the four vicious cauldrons to fly. However, the four vicious cauldrons weren't ancient ships, so their speed couldn't compare. Therefore, Lin Feng planned to head to Lanruo Star, which Wang Dongchen and the others had mentioned, to buy an ancient ship. He guessed that Lanruo Star was the central star of the surrounding starfields. It was also a trade center. Starry sky travelers like Wang Dongchen, if they found treasures in the starry sky or hunted down precious starry sky vicious beasts, they would go to a central planet like Lanruo Star to trade. They didn't stop along the way, and the four vicious cauldrons quickly followed the ancient path. However, Lin Feng hadn't expected that they would be attacked. When they passed by a planet without any life aura, the densely packed starstone cannons on the planet bombarded the four ferocious cauldrons flying above the planet. The four ferocious cauldrons were blown away by the explosion of the starstones. Lin Feng and Du Zhu were furious. Although they weren't injured, they were still furious. Anyone would feel depressed if they were attacked for no reason. Lin Feng and Du Zhu flew out of the cauldrons, and saw that there were more than 20 ancient ships docked on the star. Fuck, which bastard dares to sneak attack me? The poison ancestor immediately cried out. His life is pretty tough, he actually didn't die. It seems like that cauldron is a powerful treasure. A cultivator stepped forward and looked at Lin Feng and Du Zhu with narrowed eyes. The cultivator appeared quite young. Judging from his appearance, he appeared to be in his 20s. Lin Feng sensed his life aura. He discovered that this person had cultivated for more than 3,000 years. This person's cultivation had also broken through to the god realm. Grandson, tell me your name. I don't take advantage of nameless people. Du Zhu shouted. So arrogant? There's actually someone who dares to be so arrogant in front of me. How interesting. The cultivator sneered and waved his hand. All of a sudden, more than 20 ancient starships flew into the air. Next, these ancient starships raised their flags. Space pirates. After seeing the flag with a skeleton on it, Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. Actually, in the Tianwu continent's sea world, many ships would become pirate ships if they hung the pirate flag. They would burn, kill, and plunder, committing all sorts of crimes. However, if they took down the pirate flag, they would transform into merchant ships. Clearly, these ancient starships were very similar to the ones in the Tianwu continent's sea world. If they raised the pirate flag, they would be space pirates. If they lowered the pirate flag, they would be space travelers. Young Master Qian-sung looked coldly at Lin Feng and Du Zhu. He said icily, "The two of you, kneel in front of me and swear allegiance to me. If you do, I'll spare your puny lives. If you don't know how to appreciate favors, I'll make this starry sky world your burial ground." Lin Feng cursed. "Trash like you dares to make us swear allegiance to you? Do you believe that I can crush you with one hand?" Young Master Qian-sung was clearly stunned by Lin Feng's words. Then, he flew into a rage. Young Master Qian-sung had originally thought that Du Zhu was arrogant enough. However, he hadn't expected Lin Feng to be even more arrogant than Du Zhu. Young Master Qian-sung controlled such a huge fleet at such a young age. His background was clearly extraordinary. He had always been a high and mighty figure. Now, he was being looked down upon again and again. That made young Master Qian-sung extremely sullen and angry. "Good, very good. Now you won't even have the chance to become my slaves. I'll take your dog lives. Kill them!" shouted young Master Qian-sung. He waved his right hand. Instantly, over 20 ancient starship cannons aimed at Lin Feng and Du Zhu. "I just happen to have no ancient starship to travel. Today, I'll steal your fleet," sneered Lin Feng. "You don't know the difference between life and death." Young Master Qian-sung sneered. Boom! 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 Countless starstones shot out from the cannons and exploded in the void. The destructive power drowned Lin Feng and Du Zhu. The power of the starry sky cannons was extremely terrifying. Another 20 ancient starships' cannons attacked together. Therefore, the destructive power was even greater. Lin Feng and Du Zhu could resist for a short period of time, but if the battle dragged on, they wouldn't be able to resist the attacks of the starry sky cannons. Therefore, the starry sky cannons could indeed kill Lin Feng and Du Zhu. Lin Feng directly used the heaven patching technique to avoid the attacks of the starry sky cannons. Then, he and Du Zhu landed on an ancient starship. Although there were many ancient starships in this fleet, the longest one was only 100 meters long. Lin Feng had seen a pirate group's ship which was 1,000 meters long, but it was much smaller than that ship. Although the pirate group that Lin Feng had seen before only had 10 ancient starships, those ancient starships were extremely powerful. They were all extremely high-grade ancient starships. Moreover, that pirate group had many experts. The ancient starships in front of them could only be considered ordinary ancient starships. There were only 5 God Realm experts, and the strongest one was only at the 9th heaven stage of the Void God Realm. They couldn't possibly be a match for Lin Feng and Du Zhu. Lin Feng guessed that Qian-sung was most likely a traveler in the starry sky. His fleet was most likely a merchant fleet. It wasn't a professional pirate group. Just like the merchant ships in the Tianwu continent, Qian-sung's fleet was a pirate ship. There were many merchant and pirate fleets in the starry sky. "Toxic world, devour!" Poison Ancestor bellowed and condensed a world of poison. In an instant, all the ancient ships in the starry sky were shrouded in this world of poison. The toxic world was pervasive, and it directly entered over 20 ancient starships. However, not everyone was able to resist the poison like Lin Feng. Ah! Very quickly, miserable screams rang out from the ancient starships. Many people were directly poisoned to death. "Poison cultivators!" Qian-sung's expression sank. "Follow me and kill them!" Young Master Qian Sung soared into the sky. Soon after, the other 4 deity realm experts followed closely behind. Ha 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 ha, your opponent is me! Laughed Lin Feng. He summoned his God Realm clone and his 3 poison puppets, attacking Qian Sang and the others. As for Du Zhu, he continued to release his poison, killing the pirates on the ancient starships. If they allowed these pirates to activate the restrictions on those ancient starships, Lin Feng and Du Zhu would be in trouble. The 2 of them were aware of that, so they split the work. One of them would deal with the pirates on the ancient starships. The other would deal with Qian Sang and the other 4 God Realm experts. Lin Feng and Du Zhu cooperated very well. Chapter 1495. The combination of Lin Feng and Du Zhu was naturally the most suitable for Lin Feng to deal with young Master Qian Sang and the other 4 godly state experts. This was because Lin Feng had his godly state clone and 3 toxic puppets. His godly state clone was only a step away from igniting the godly fire and becoming a godly fire expert. With a treasure like the Great Desolate War Spear, he could easily crush young Master Qian Sang and the other 4. Kid, go to hell! When young Master Qian Sang saw Lin Feng charging towards him alone, his face revealed a sinister look. Young Master Qian Sang waved his hand and the other 4 godly state experts spread out to surround Lin Feng. Lin Feng sneered and covered his body with the Death God armor. At the same time, he summoned his godly state clone and 3 toxic puppets. Not good! When they saw the godly state clone and the 3 toxic puppets, young Master Qian Sang and the other 4 godly state experts' faces sank. It was only now that they realized how shocking Lin Feng's hidden trump cards were. The godly state clone wielded the Great Desolate War Spear and charged towards the strongest godly state expert on young Master Qian Sung's side. The strongest godly state expert was only at the 9th level of the Nihility God stage, a level lower than the clone. Moreover, more importantly, although the magic weapon in this God state cultivator's hand was a divine weapon, it was only at the Void God level. Compared to a divine weapon at the giant god level like the Great Desolation War Spear, it was far inferior. His cultivation level couldn't be compared to the godly state clone. His magic treasure was crushed by the Great Desolate War Spear. This battle was completely one-sided. Lin Feng's 3 toxic puppets were also entangled with the other 3 godly state experts. Although the 3 toxic puppets were a few levels lower than the other 3 godly state experts, they were still very strong. However, the poison puppet's greatest advantage was that its entire body was filled with poison. As long as one was injured or touched by the toxic puppets, the poison would enter one's body. Therefore, even though the 3 godly state experts' cultivation level was higher than Lin Feng's toxic puppets, they had too many considerations and couldn't display their true strength. The 3 of them were being held back by the toxic puppets. As for Lin Feng, he charged towards young Master Qian Sung's main body. Young Master Qian Sung was at the 5th level of the Nihility God stage. He wielded a sword called Star Moon Sword, a Heavenly God stage divine weapon. It was a divine weapon at the Heavenly God stage. Young Master Qian Sung's battle prowess with his sword was shocking. Unless young Master Qian Sung had also had a Heavenly Emperor's Emperor weapon, unless young Master with Emperor with him, he had Emperor. Otherwise, Lin Feng would be able to oppress him. Crescent Slash! Young Master Qian Sung shouted coldly. He wielded his divine sword and unleashed a powerful attack. Young Master Qian Sung swung his sword. The sword chi emitted from the divine sword was like a crescent moon. It swept towards young Master Qian Sung. Young Master Qian Sung wanted to send the 9 demons painting flying and then kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng said disdainfully, "Young Master Qian Sung, do you think someone like you is worthy of fighting me? You're overestimating yourself." Lin Feng's words were full of contempt and disdain for young Master Qian Sung. This made young Master Qian Sung very angry. "Then let's see who will win!" Young Master Qian Sung roared and unleashed 10 crescent slashes. Clang! 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 The dazzling sword chi condensed by the crescent moon continuously slashed at the 9 demons diagram, but it was unable to shake the 9 demons diagram. The 9 demons painting shook and dispersed young Master Qian Sung's attack. Then, the 9 demons painting continued to sweep towards young Master Qian Sung. Soon, it arrived in front of young Master Qian Sung. There was a loud bang. The attack directly sent young Master Qian Sung flying. Wah! Young Master Qian Sung spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was extremely pale. Too weak. An ant like you dares to provoke me? You really don't know the difference between life and death. Lin Feng continued to control the 9 demons painting to suppress young Master Qian Sung. Young Master, be careful! The godly realm cultivator who was fighting a poisonous puppet saw that young Master Qian Sung was in danger, and his expression changed. He forced the godly realm cultivator's clone to retreat, and quickly rushed towards young Master Qian Sung. He used a divine ability called Trillion Galaxies. This mystique evolved into billions of galaxies that separated them from the 9 devils' portrait. Just as the godly realm cultivator let out a sigh of relief, the 9 demons painting tore through the billions of galaxies and instantly arrived in front of him. The 9 demons painting suppressed him. Bang! The attack landed on the godly realm cultivator's body. In an instant, the godly realm cultivator's body disintegrated and he died on the spot. Young Master Qian Sung's expression changed. He quickly retreated and put some distance between himself and the 9 demons painting. Run! Young Master Qian Sung shouted. Young Master Qian Sung could see that they were no match for Lin Feng. If they continued to fight, only death would await them. Young Master Qian Sung fled into the distance while Lin Feng chased after him with the 9 demons painting. Young Master Qian Sung roared, "Brat! If you didn't have an imperial weapon, I would definitely be able to kill you." Lin Feng sneered. "Even if I don't use an imperial weapon, dealing with trash like you will be as easy as flipping my hand." Lin Feng used Burning the Heavens Fury and took out a tricolored fireball. Bang! The tricolored fireball exploded and young Master Qian Sung was sent flying. Half of his body was blasted apart and dripping with blood. It was an extremely tragic sight. How can this be? You haven't even broken through to the godly realm. How can you be so powerful? Young Master Qian Sung roared in disbelief. Going against immortals and gods is just a matter of flicking my finger to me. Lin Feng sneered and sent a palm strike towards young Master Qian Sung. Die, brat! At that moment, the godly realm cultivator who was fighting against the clone rushed towards Lin Feng. The illusory demon blade in his hand swept towards Lin Feng. His attack was much stronger than young Master Qian Sung's. While Lin Feng was distracted, young Master Qian Sung tore through the starry sky and escaped. Humph, you ruined my plan. Lin Feng's face fell. He used the 9 demons painting to attack the godly realm cultivator who was attacking him. Clang! The illusory demon blade in his hand struck the 9 demons painting, but it was blocked by it. The godly realm cultivator wanted to escape, but it was too late. Lin Feng used his 5 devouring martial spirits. The 5 devouring martial spirits merged into a black hole and surrounded the godly realm cultivator, imprisoning his body. Although it wasn't enough to imprison him completely, it was enough to slow him down. At that moment, the godly realm cultivator's clone rushed over with the great desolate war spear. The godly realm cultivator's face fell and he waved his illusory demon blade at the godly realm cultivator's clone. His demon blade collided with the godly clone's great desolate war spear, but at that moment, Lin Feng arrived behind the godly cultivator and threw a punch. Boom! Lin Feng's punch crashed onto the godly cultivator of the 9th sky of the Nihility God layer. His physical body exploded, and his soul was destroyed. Divine Star Stones or Spirit Divine Star Stones contained pure enough energy. This pure energy was enough to support a cultivator's breakthrough. If it were a top-grade Spirit Stone or a top-grade Star Stone, the purity of the energy would not be enough, and it was very likely that the breakthrough would fail. Lin Feng was already preparing to break through to the godly layer. One of his goals was to go to Lanrua Star and sell those boats. Lin Feng's second goal was to buy godly level star stones. Since Lanrua Star was the central star of the surrounding star fields, it was the trading center of the star fields. He guessed that he should be able to buy divine star stones in such a place. The fleet headed in the direction of Lanrua Star. 7 days later, Lin Feng arrived in front of a gigantic star region. That star field was densely covered with stars. However, all the stars were revolving around a huge star, and that huge star was Lanrua Star. In the star field, ancient starships were flying towards Lanrua Star from all directions. Of course, he could occasionally see some fleets. There were at least 5 or 6 ancient starships, and at most, there were hundreds of ancient starships. Lin Feng saw a fleet of 150 ancient starships. The fleet had the words, Starfield Alliance, written on it. Lin Feng guessed that the Starfield Alliance should be the name of the force that the fleet belonged to. Part of that huge fleet was merchant ships. Another part was ancient warships. This kind of ancient warship was specially built for space battles. These ancient warships were 1,000 meters long, and their auras were heavy and oppressive. They were like giant beasts in space. Duzu said, "Look at that Starfield Alliance fleet. This is a fleet that does real business. They have powerful ancient warships protecting them. Young Master Qian Tsang is not worth mentioning at all." Lin Feng nodded and said, "It seems that this Starfield Alliance is a top-tier force. With such a huge fleet, I think it's very likely that they're transporting some precious treasure." Lin Feng and the others did not stay in the starry sky world. The fleet quickly headed towards Lanrua Star. There was a plaza on Lanrua Star where the ancient voyage ships were parked. One ancient voyage ship after another descended from the sky and stopped. After Lin Feng parked the ancient voyage ship, 2 cultivators flew over. One of them was a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s, while the other was slightly younger. He looked like he was in his 30s. "Fellow Taoist, the fee for parking the ancient voyage ship is based on the time and the actual area the ancient voyage ship occupies. This kind of ancient voyage ship is about 100 meters long, so you have to pay 2 top-grade star stones for 2 hours." The middle-aged cultivator explained. Lin Feng nodded and said, "Should I pay now or when I leave? We'll give you a command medallion. This medallion will record information about your ancient voyage ship. We'll also help you look after the ancient voyage ships. When you leave, you can take the medallion to the first floor of the 7-story building and pay the fee." The middle-aged cultivator explained. "No problem." Lin Feng nodded. The middle-aged cultivator then took out a command medallion. More than 20 runes shot out from the medallion. Each ancient voyage ship had a rune imprinted on it. These runes were connected to the medallion. The runes would record the time the ancient voyage ship was parked, its size, and other information. The medallion was able to sense this information. Thus, when paying the fee, he could show the medallion, and the other party would be able to easily figure out the total cost. It was very convenient. After Lin Feng accepted the medallion, he left with Du Zhu. They had been sailing in the star world for more than 3 months. They had experienced many dangers along the way and had narrowly escaped death. Lin Feng and Du Zhu were very tired, so they could rest for a few days on Lanrua Star. Lanrua Star was bustling with people. There were many cultivators of the stellar race here. There was a clear difference between the stellar race and other races. The stellar race had a symbol between their eyebrows. For example, some had the symbol of a crescent moon, while others had the symbol of a star. The stellar race were relatively tall. The men were more than 2 meters tall. The women were at least 1.7 meters tall. Therefore, the women of the stellar race were very tall and slender. Their beautiful legs were especially alluring. Chapter 1497. There were many races in the starry sky world, but the stellar race was definitely one of the biggest races in the starry sky world. The stellar race had a great say in the starry sky world and ruled many star areas. In the starry sky world, the status of the stellar race was similar to that of the human race in the Tianwu continent. It was one of the most powerful races. The stellar race was very special, not only because of their height, but also because of their character. The stellar race was very open, and they were full of beautiful women. The beautiful women of the stellar race were very passionate and bold. So along the way, many of them winked at Lin Feng and tried to seduce him. Some beautiful women even came up to Lin Feng and gave him written notes. Lin Feng looked at the notes. Most of them said that they felt like old friends at first sight, and hoped that Lin Feng could go to a place to talk in the evening. Lin Feng was young, handsome, confident, strong, and had an outstanding temperament. Wherever he went, he would become the center of attention. No wonder so many beautiful women of the stellar race tried to seduce Lin Feng. "You're in luck with women. It seems that I can push the cart tonight," Du Zhu said with a smile. Lin Feng couldn't help but shake his head. He raised his hand and burned the paper into ashes. He didn't plan to go to the banquet. Lin Feng liked women, but he liked women who could arouse his interest. There were many beautiful women in the world, but few could really arouse Lin Feng's interest. Lin Feng and Du Zhu found a high-class inn in the Bee Garden district. The environment in the Bee Garden was very elegant. Moreover, there was a separate courtyard located at a certain distance from each other. Lin Feng's courtyard was in a purple bamboo forest. The purple bamboo forest here was very beautiful. Moreover, there was also a faint bamboo fragrance in the air. When the wind blew, the wind blew. When the bamboo leaves slapped together, they would produce a pleasant sound of interweaving bamboo leaves. A maidservant led Lin Feng and Du Zhu to their small courtyard. There were about 13 or 14 small courtyards in the purple bamboo forest. This was the most high-end courtyard area in the inn. A courtyard like this would cost 1,000 top-grade starstones a day, and it was not something that just anyone could afford. On the way to their residence, there was a group of more than a dozen guests, all of whom were female practitioners. These female cultivators were wearing long white dresses that outlined their slender figures. They were very charming. They were all surrounding a woman in a palace gauze dress and a veil. Poison Ancestor was the kind of person who liked to see the world in chaos. When he saw that the group of female cultivators had good figures and beautiful faces, he whistled at them. Obviously, he wanted to flirt with those pretty female practitioners. Lin Feng was speechless. He was probably going to anger those female cultivators. Sure enough, as Lin Feng expected, one of the female practitioners turned around and glared at Du Zhu. She said, "Do you want to die?" This female practitioner was about 1.6 meters tall. She was not very tall. However, this female practitioner's upper body was very voluptuous. Her clothes looked like they were about to burst. Moreover, her face was very beautiful. From her appearance, it could be seen that this female practitioner had an extremely shrewish personality. Du Zhu said, "Who did you say wanted to die? If it weren't for the fact that you're a woman, I would have slapped you a long time ago." The female practitioner's pretty face was very angry. She waved her right hand, and a treasured sword flew out and floated above her. Swish, light flickered. The treasured sword instantly split into 3. "Do you believe that I will chop you to death now?" the female practitioner said coldly. "Forget it. A good man does not fight with a woman. Moreover, with your little cultivation, you do not have the qualifications to make me attack." Du Zhu curled his lips. The female practitioner was looked down upon by Du Zhu and became even angrier. She said, "Who doesn't know how to boast? Let's see if you really have the ability to fight." As soon as she finished speaking, the female practitioner was about to urge her flying sword to slash at Du Zhu. Said Lin Feng hastily, "Sister, please don't be angry. My friend was rude. If he offended you, I'll apologize on his behalf," said Lin Feng hastily. "Who do you think you are? Hurry up and get out of the way. Otherwise, I will chop you up too," the female practitioner said fiercely. She had a fiery temper. The 3 treasured swords spat out cold light, as if they were going to attack at any time. At that moment, the female practitioner in the palace dress said, "Junior Sister Hui Han, Where it is possible to let people off, one should be lenient. Since the other party has already apologized, let's forget about this matter. The female practitioner in the palace dress obviously had a very high status. The female practitioner called Hui Han did not seem to dare to go against her words. Although she was very unwilling, she could only temporarily suppress the anger in her heart. She put away the 3 flying swords and glared fiercely at Lin Feng and Du Zhu. Then, she turned around and left with her fellow disciples. This group of people also lived in the purple bamboo forest, and they were very close to Lin Feng and Du Zhu's residence. They were only about 300 meters away. Orchid Star is really a colorful world. Look at those girls. Their figures are really good, and their faces are also beautiful. Du Zhu sighed. Lin Feng rolled his eyes and said, I didn't expect you to be such a hooligan. Du Zhu said speechlessly. A man's true colors. If any man says he's not a pervert, I'll slap his big mouth right now. In fact, Lin Feng also agreed with Du Zhu's point of view. A man's true colors. This was very much in line with a man's character. Most likely, every man would want a red flag at home and a red flag outside, right? After a short rest, Lin Feng and Du Zhu went out together. They planned to have a big meal first, then go to some trading companies and think of a way to sell more than 20 ancient starships. After that, they would see if there was a way to buy God-grade starstones. During the past few months, they had been roaming the starry sky. Lin Feng had been eating spirit fruits to allay his hunger, and his mouth had long become bland. Therefore, Lin Feng and Du Zhu ordered a table full of delicious food and wine and started eating and drinking. Many people around them pointed at Lin Feng and Du Zhu, who were wolfing down the food, and looked at the two of them as if they were country bumpkins. Many people were muttering, Are these two guys reincarnated from starvation? After eating and drinking to their fill, Lin Feng and Du Zhu paid the bill and then walked out of the restaurant. Just as they reached the door, they saw a group of people rushing over. What surprised Lin Feng was that this group of people was carrying a white jade cold bed. A 3-eyed golden lion was lying on the white jade cold bed. The 3-eyed golden lion was about 2 meters long, and its body exuded a destructive power. Are you two blind? Didn't you see that our young master wants to enter the restaurant? Hurry up and go back to the restaurant. Let our young master go first. Suddenly, a cultivator standing next to the white jade cold bed looked at Lin Feng and Du Zhu, who were about to walk out of the restaurant, and scolded them coldly. Chapter 1498. Upon hearing the one-eyed cultivator's words, Lin Feng and Du Zhu's expressions darkened. They should be thanking the heavens if they didn't bully others. How could they allow others to bully and humiliate them? Du Zhu pursed his lips and sneered. Grandson, do you understand the principle of first come, first served? Can't you see that I'm the one who walked to the door first? If you make way, you should make way for me. Let your two grandfathers go out first before you go in. The one-eyed cultivator was stunned. He hadn't expected the cultivator in front of him to be so arrogant. Who in the chaotic star divine realm didn't know how powerful the 3-eyed golden lion clan was? The one-eyed cultivator had arrogantly berated Lin Feng and Du Zhu. He wasn't representing himself. He was representing the 3-eyed golden lion clan. But now, someone actually dared to offend the 3-eyed golden lion clan. Could it be that this guy had never heard of the 3-eyed golden lion clan? Good, very good. I haven't seen such an arrogant person in a long time. What's your name? Tell me your name. The 3-eyed golden lion, whose eyes were originally closed, opened his eyes. Within his eyes there was an eerie glow. Du Zhu pursed his lips and said, If you want to know, I won't tell you. Upon hearing Du Zhu's mocking reply, the 3-eyed golden lion clan's expression darkened. The 3-eyed golden lion's expression darkened even more. At this time, many people saw the conflict. Many cultivators gathered outside and inside the restaurant to watch the show. That's the 3-eyed golden lion clan's little lion king, right? The little lion king cultivated for 1,500 years and broke through to the deity realm. His talent is heaven-defying. Who are those two people? They actually dared to offend the little Lion King. Aren't they courting death? Yeah, offending the three-eyed golden lion clan on Orchid Star doesn't end well. Many people whispered to each other, looking at Lin Feng and Du Zhu with pity. The three-eyed golden lion clan was an extremely terrifying clan. This star region was called the Chaotic Star Divine Realm. There were 5 central stars in the Chaotic Star Divine Realm. Orchid Star was one of them. The Leo Star was one of them. The ruler of the Leo Star was the three-eyed golden lion clan. He could control a central main star. From this, one could see how powerful the three-eyed golden lion clan was. Therefore, in the Chaos Star Divine Realm, no one dared to offend the three-eyed golden lion clan. But now, Lin Feng and Du Zhu had offended the three-eyed golden lion clan's little Lion King. In the eyes of many, this was no different from courting death. Idiots who don't know the difference between life and death, break their legs, Little Lion King said coldly. Killing was not allowed on Lanruo planet. Only in the arena of life and death would one be able to kill the opponent. If he killed someone without permission, he would be surrounded by the cultivator legions of Lanruo planet. Therefore, the Little Lion King did not dare to kill people at will. He only ordered people to break the legs of Lin Feng and Du Zhu. After all, this was Lanruo planet, not Leo planet. No matter how extraordinary his identity was, he still had to be careful. Yes, young master. The one-eyed cultivator responded, then waved his hand. Together with more than 20 other cultivators, he gradually surrounded them. And this quickly, so that you don't get in my way. Seeing the group of people rushing over, Lin Feng said in a low voice. Yes, young master. The poison ancestor grunted in response and stepped forward. Boom! Du Zhu's body emitted a terrifying divine aura. The divine aura spread out. Bang, bang, bang! The one-eyed cultivator and the others could not withstand the powerful divine aura emitted from Du Zhu's body and were sent flying. Wah! Then, the one-eyed cultivator and the others were shocked by the divine aura emitted from Du Zhu's body and vomited blood. They fell to the ground and screamed miserably. Deity State Expert! Many people exclaimed. No one expected Du Zhu to be a deity state expert. Now many people came to their senses. No wonder this person dared to ignore Little Lion King. It turned out that he was a deity state expert. Suddenly, everyone realized that something was wrong. Everyone looked at him. They all turned to look at the handsome young cultivator. The young cultivator everyone was looking at was naturally Lin Feng. This was because the deity state expert who attacked was obviously obedient to Lin Feng. Could that deity realm expert be that young master's guard? Many people could not help but have this thought in their minds. Then, many people sucked in a breath of cold air. If he had a deity state expert as his guard, who was that young master? Many people were both shocked and puzzled. A deity state expert smiled proudly in the universe. Even in the starry sky world, they were all big shots. They were high and mighty. People looked up to them. The Little Lion King's family was so powerful, but he did not have a deity state expert as his guard. It could be seen how rare a deity state expert was and how high their status was. However, Lin Feng had a deity state expert as his guard. Lin Feng's identity was worth pondering. You're courting death. Seeing that all his guards were injured, Little Lion King could not help but roar. If you want to beat a dog, you have to look at its master. Little Lion King also felt embarrassed when his subordinates were severely injured. He was extremely angry. Little Lion King leaped up and stood in the void. He brandished his huge claws and slashed towards Poison Ancestor. The moment Little Lion King attacked, his body also emitted a powerful divine power. Little Lion King was like a demon god descending. His huge claws tore through the sky and slammed down. Look at my invincible tortoise divine fist! Du Zhu roared and moved to the left, dodging Little Lion King's attack. Then, Du Zhu quickly punched Little Lion King's head and sent him flying. Little Lion King's body suddenly moved hundreds of meters away. Roar! Little Lion King roared angrily. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He was extremely sullen. He was not only sent flying by a punch. Moreover, the name of this punch was simply insulting him as a bastard. Damn, this guy is such a weirdo! Many people couldn't help but mutter when they heard the name of Duzu's punch. Lion's roar! Little Lion King attacked again. He opened his bloody mouth and roared at the sky. The sound waves shook the void. The terrifying power of the sound waves swept towards Duzu. However, it was too easy for Duzu to deal with Little Lion King. Although Little Lion King was a god, he was only at the third sky of the ethereal god realm. Duzu's cultivation was at the peak of the ethereal god realm. Facing Little Lion King's lion roar, Duzu used the invincible tortoise divine fist again to attack Little Lion King. Little Lion King's sound wave attack was directly dispersed. Then, the tyrannical punch hit Little Lion King's body and sent him flying. Little Lion King was beaten until he vomited blood. He was furious. The poison ancestor charged forward and stomped down on the Little Lion King. Duzu's right leg quickly enlarged. In the blink of an eye, it became as big as a mountain. He was about to step on Little Lion King. Impudent! Suddenly, a cold shout resounded through the sky. A middle-aged cultivator stepped forward. This middle-aged cultivator was also an expert from the three-eyed Golden Lion clan. However, he was in human form. This expert was extremely terrifying. He attacked Duzu with a palm. Duzu and this person collided, and Duzu was forced to retreat. Little Lion King was slightly shocked when he saw the newcomer. He shouted, 19th uncle, I'll deal with the other guy. Although Little Lion King wanted to cut Duzu into pieces, he knew that he was no match for Duzu. Therefore, he shifted his target to Lin Feng. Little Lion King's cold eyes looked at Lin Feng. He sneered and said, Boy, that guy was your guard, right? I don't care who you are. This is the Chaotic Star Divine Realm. You dare to offend me here. I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life. I won't kill you later. Instead, I'll make you kneel in front of me and beg for mercy. As soon as he finished speaking, Little Lion King's body emitted a terrifying divine aura that pressed towards Lin Feng. He actually wanted to use his own aura to force Lin Feng to kneel on the ground. Chapter 1499. This Little Lion King bullies the weak and fears the strong. He's picking on the weak. That's right. That young man is only in his 20s. He hasn't cultivated for many years, so his cultivation shouldn't be very high. If the Little Lion King wants to deal with him, it'll be as easy as moving a finger. As long as he catches that young man, his deity realm bodyguard will have to obediently submit. Immediately, many people started discussing. Clearly, when the Little Lion King wanted to deal with Lin Feng, no one was optimistic about Lin Feng. In many people's eyes, the disparity in strength between the two sides was too great. Everyone thought that under the pressure of the Little Lion King's terrifying divine pressure, Lin Feng wouldn't be able to withstand it. It was very likely that Lin Feng would be forced to kneel on the ground by the Little Lion King's divine pressure. But soon, everyone realized that something was wrong. When the Little Lion King's powerful divine pressure pressed down on Lin Feng was stunned. Lin Feng stood in place with a calm expression. The powerful divine pressure didn't seem to have any effect on Lin Feng. What's going on? Many people were dumbfounded. They didn't understand what was going on. On the other side, the expert from the three-eyed Golden Lion clan was already engaged in a fierce battle with the poison ancestor. The battle between the deity realm cultivators couldn't attract the attention of the onlookers. Everyone looked at Lin Feng. Everyone was extremely puzzled. How did Lin Feng resolve the divine pressure? Huh! You actually dispelled this young master's divine pressure? How did you do it? The Little Lion King asked with a slightly gloomy expression. Is it that difficult to resolve the divine pressure released by a piece of trash like you? Lin Feng curled his lips and said. Many people looked at Lin Feng with wry smiles. Duzu had been arrogant enough before. However, Lin Feng seemed to be even more arrogant than Duzu. In the eyes of these onlookers, Duzu had the right to be arrogant. After all, Du Zhu had already displayed the strength of the divine state, and even crushed the little Lion King. Therefore, no one thought that Du Zhu's arrogance was unacceptable. However, Lin Feng, a young cultivator, was even more arrogant than Du Zhu. He directly called the little Lion King a piece of trash. He was completely looking down on the little Lion King. Are all these rich second generations retarded? His clan is powerful and he has a god-level bodyguard, so he can be arrogant. But the problem is that his bodyguard is being held back. Now, he's facing a god-level expert like the young Lion King alone, yet he's still so arrogant. Is he tired of living? He's probably used to being arrogant and hasn't changed. Look at the little Lion King's gloomy eyes, you can see how angry he is. Just wait and see. I dare say that the little Lion King won't let that young prince off. At the very least, he'll break his limbs. Many people whispered. Everyone thought that Lin Feng was playing with fire this time. He would definitely be beaten up miserably by the little Lion King. At this time, the little Lion King had already rushed in front of Lin Feng. He waved his huge claws and clawed at Lin Feng. If this terrifying attack hit his body, wouldn't all the bones in his body be smashed? Feeling the powerful aura emitted from the little Lion King's body, many people couldn't help but gasp. Many people even began to mutter. Would the little Lion King's attack directly kill that young master? Just as the little Lion King's attack was about to hit the young prince. Suddenly, everyone widened their eyes in disbelief. Because the young prince disappeared from where he was as if he had teleported. The next moment, he appeared on the left side of the little Lion King. Oh my God, what kind of speed is this? Isn't this too fast? It's simply abnormal. Many people exclaimed. They were shocked by Lin Feng's speed. The next moment, a loud bang was heard. The little Lion King was sent flying by Lin Feng's kick. Crack, crack! The sound of bones cracking was heard. It was unknown how many of the little Lion King's bones were broken by Lin Feng's kick. The little Lion King was actually injured? Many people looked at this scene in disbelief. This was something that no one had thought of. Someone said, that young prince's speed is too fast. In the world of martial arts, only speed is invincible. His attack just now was also very simple. He used an unbelievable speed to dodge the little Lion King's attack and then instantly injured the little Lion King. Another person said, yes, his speed is a bit too fast. If the little Lion King wants to deal with him, he must first limit his speed. Gold domain. The little Lion King roared. The third eye between his eyebrows slightly revealed a slit. In an instant, a gold domain was formed. This is the three-eyed golden lion clan's innate ability, the gold domain. It's said that cultivators who are trapped in the gold domain will be suppressed by it. Their speed, cultivation, perception, reaction, strength, and so on will be greatly weakened. Now that the little Lion King has used the gold domain, that young prince probably won't be able to resist it. Someone recognized the little Lion King's ultimate technique and immediately spoke up. Many people nodded, agreeing with the cultivator's point of view. The little Lion King was extremely confident in his gold domain. He walked in the gold domain, step by step, towards Lin Feng. The little Lion King sneered and said, do you feel fear now? Do you regret your stupid words now? Lin Feng sneered and said, do you know what the most ridiculous thing in the world is? It's not knowing how strong you are. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng walked towards the little Lion King in the gold domain. Look, that young prince is walking freely in the gold domain. What's going on? Logically speaking, he shouldn't be able to move an inch. I'm afraid that we've all underestimated that young prince. Seeing that Lin Feng wasn't affected by the gold domain, many people couldn't help but cry out in shock. They stared unblinkingly at Lin Feng, who was inside the gold domain. These onlookers didn't dare to look away, afraid that they would miss the scene below. You're courting death! The little Lion King shouted coldly and waved his huge claws, attacking Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. Facing the little Lion King's attack, he waved his right fist and punched at the little Lion King. Bang! Along with the dull sound of the collision, there was a loud bang. Lin Feng and the little Lion King collided. Lin Feng stood in place. He didn't move an inch. The little Lion King was sent flying as if he had been struck by lightning. Crack, crack. The huge claws that collided with Lin Feng were directly broken. The powerful shockwave even caused the little Lion King to be seriously injured. With a plop, the little Lion King fell to the ground and struggled to get up. But at this moment, Lin Feng descended from the sky and stepped on the little Lion King's head. A piece of trash like you dares to jump in front of this young master? Who gave you the guts? Lin Feng looked down at the little Lion King with an indifferent expression. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them in disbelief. The little Lion King was a divine realm expert. He was actually defeated by a young cultivator in his 20s. What was that young cultivator's cultivation level? It was actually so terrifying. Chapter 1500. How is this possible? How can I be defeated by you? The little Lion King couldn't accept that he had been defeated by Lin Feng. His eyes were bloodshot. For someone as proud and arrogant as him, being trampled on by Lin Feng was even worse than being killed. When Du Zhu saw that Lin Feng had defeated the little Lion King, he immediately shouted, "Your trash of a nephew has been suppressed by our young master. Do you still want to continue fighting?" This was Lord 19 of the Three-Eyed Golden Lion clan. His name was Xian Daoyuan. Just like Du Zhu, he was at the peak of the Nihility God realm. Moreover, the Three-Eyed Golden Lion clan had the blood of divine beasts flowing in their veins. Therefore, Xian Daoyuan was much stronger than many cultivators of the same level. At that moment, Xian Daoyuan's expression was extremely unsightly. The little Lion King was called Xian Qianlei. He was Xian Daoyuan's elder brother, and the youngest son of the Three-Eyed Golden Lion clan's leader. Furthermore, Xian Qianlei was loved by the older generation of the clan. His talent was also monstrous. Therefore, when he saw that Xian Qianlei had fallen into Lin Feng's hands, Xian Daoyuan didn't dare to act blindly without thinking. If Lin Feng really crippled or killed Xian Qianlei, he wouldn't be able to explain it to his clan. When cultivators fight, victory and defeat are commonplace. Today, my uncle and nephew have been defeated wholeheartedly. You can ask for anything. If we can do it, we'll definitely satisfy you. Xian Daoyuan was also a flexible person. Now, he could see that the two people in front of him were simply lawless masters. He didn't know where they came from. Xian Daoyuan guessed that they might be the successors of a major force that came out from some star field to gain experience. People like that could either be killed directly or try not to offend them as much as possible. Just like Lin Feng and Du Zhu. If the two of them really killed Xian Qianlei and left, the starry sky world was vast and boundless. Even if the Three-Eyed Golden Lion clan wanted to take revenge, they wouldn't be able to do it because they couldn't find them. It was too easy to avoid being chased in the starry sky world. Xian Daoyuan had cultivated for 1.52 million years. What kind of things had he not seen before? That was why he took the initiative to lower his stance, and wanted to make peace with Lin Feng. Lin Feng slightly smiled and said, "I like dealing with people who are reasonable. How about this? 1,000 God-grade formation materials, and I'll let him go." Array formation materials were extremely precious, and God-level array formation materials were even more precious. They were things that could only be chanced upon by luck. However, a force as large as the Three-Eyed Golden Lion clan would definitely have a lot of precious God-level array formation materials. No problem. Just wait for a moment. I'll order someone to go to our clan's trading company on Lanro planet to get it. Xian Daoyuan said. Lin Feng nodded. For the sake of 1,000 array formation materials, what harm was there in waiting for a moment? Deacon Zhang, take my command medallion and go to the treasury of the trading firm to retrieve 1,000 deity-grade array materials. Xian Daoyuan said to a cultivator in the crowd. Yes, sir. That cultivator took Xian Daoyuan's command medallion and quickly left. 1,000 deity-grade array materials. Xian Daoyuan actually agreed. Those deity-grade array materials are extremely precious. It'll probably take tens of thousands of years to collect them, right? Even large trading companies won't sell such treasures because the organizations behind them also need deity-grade array materials. For example, some ancient ships in the starry skies can use deity-grade array materials to create arrays, and the power of the ancient ships will immediately increase. Heh! Xian Qianlei is in that young prince's hands. How can Xian Daoyuan not agree? Even if it hurts him, he still has to agree. Speaking of which, that young master is truly audacious. He actually dares to demand such an exorbitant price, directly asking for 1,000 divine tier formation materials. Although Xian Daoyuan agreed to fulfill his demand, he probably hates him to death, right? That young prince isn't from the chaotic star divine region. He's probably a disciple of a powerful organization from another starfield. He's so strong, and he has deities by his side. He's fearless. He doesn't seem to be afraid of the three-eyed golden lion clan. Maybe he has some powerful trump cards. That's what I'm thinking too. A disciple of such a powerful group must have a terrifying trump card. If they really fought to the death, even if they managed to kill that young man, the three-eyed golden lions would have to pay a heavy price, said Lin Feng. Many people were discussing. Now they were looking at Lin Feng in awe. Strong cultivators were respected no matter where they were. Not long after, the deacon who had gone to retrieve the deity-grade array materials returned. Master, there are 1,000 godly deployment materials in this pouch, said Lin Feng. The deacon gave a bag of deity-grade array materials and a command medallion to Xian Daoyuan. Xian Daoyuan put the command medallion away and threw the bag to Lin Feng. Then, he said, check if it's enough. Lin Feng smiled. The three-eyed golden lion clan is a powerful clan in the starry sky. It's beneath you to play tricks. Lin Feng put the bag away, waved his hand, and left with Du Zhu. The young Lion King crawled up from the ground, his eyes blazing with anger. 19th Uncle. The young Lion King wanted to say something. Xian Daoyuan said, this isn't the place to talk. Let's go back. The young Lion King nodded gloomily. Then, he followed Xian Daoyuan back to the three-eyed golden lion clan's trading company on Lanro planet. The young Lion King transformed into a cultivator wearing a golden robe. His expression was ferocious as he said, 19th Uncle, I can't take this lying down. Today's matter didn't just damage my reputation. The three-eyed golden lion clan will definitely be implicated as well. It's all because of that brat. I wish I could cut him into 1,000 pieces. Xian Daoyuan said, I understand your anger and grievance, but Lanro planet isn't a place to kill him. Besides, that brat isn't simple. He gives me the feeling that he's even more dangerous than his guard. How is that possible? His guard can fight against 19th Uncle. He must be at the peak of the Void God realm. That brat is only in his 20s. How can he have such terrifying battle prowess? The young Lion King couldn't believe it. Xian Daoyuan's eyes flashed coldly as he said, I'm guessing that it's because of some powerful treasure. That brat must have many treasures on him. I'll send a message to the clan and have them send experts. When that brat enters the starry sky world, he'll die. Chapter 1501. Lin Feng and Du Zhu headed towards the street where the large trading companies were located. Du Zhu said, I'm afraid that the three-eyed golden lion clan won't let this matter rest. Lin Feng nodded. That's for sure, but it's not a big deal. We'll deal with whatever comes our way. If worse comes to worst, we'll just leave. What's there to be afraid of? At that moment, Lin Feng could be said to be fearless and audacious. He also had a forbidden weapon, the purple lightning hammer. He still had 3 more chances to use the hammer. If an even stronger divine flame realm expert came, he could just use the hammer to smash them to death. If he wanted to leave, it would be too easy. There were several large trading companies on Lanroa planet, and the largest of them was the Alliance of Stars Trading Company. The Alliance of Stars Trading Company was the trading company behind the enormous fleet Lin Feng had seen in the Outer Realm. The Alliance of Stars was very mysterious and powerful, and its background was incredibly deep. The Outer Realms were formed in a very strange way. Normally, a group of stars would form a stellar region, such as Lanro Planet, Leo Planet, and the other stars in the Chaos Star Divine Realm. Different stellar regions would form even larger galaxies, such as the Milky Way, the Huan Galaxy, the Hunter Galaxy, and so on. The Chaos Star Divine Realm and a dozen or so other stellar regions combined to form the largest galaxy in the Outer Realms. This galaxy was known as the Scattered Star System. The Alliance of Stars was one of the largest powers in the Scattered Star System. It was so powerful and had so many businesses that it covered every single stellar region in the Scattered Star System. For example, the Alliance of Stars trading companies existed on all the vital planets in the Chaos Star Divine Realm. Many vital planets had deep connections with the Alliance of Stars. The Alliance of Stars trading company on Lanro Planet was bustling with activity. After Lin Feng and the Poison Ancestor arrived, a deacon came over. It was a female deacon. The female attendant bowed and said with a smile, "May I know if there's anything I can do for you too, fellow Taoists?" Lin Feng said, "We have two important businesses to discuss. Can you introduce us to the elders of the Alliance of Stars? Fellow Taoists, please follow me." The attendant smiled as she led the way. The attendant brought Lin Feng and Du Zhu to a guest hall, where a beautiful servant girl served them tea. The attendant then personally went to invite the elders. Not long after, an old man walked in with the female deacon. The old man was rather fat, but he had a ruddy complexion, and a smile was plastered on his face. The Alliance was a huge power, so everything that happened on Lanro Planet could not be hidden from them. If it were anyone else, they would have run away immediately after nearly killing the young master of the three-eyed golden lion and extorting a large amount of precious deity-grade formation materials. Why would they continue to stay on Lanra Planet? Were they not afraid of the three-eyed golden lion's revenge? But these two demon-like existences didn't leave. What did that mean? They were clearly fearless. All sorts of thoughts flashed through the elder's mind, but he didn't stop walking. He cupped his fists and smiled. "I'm sorry to have kept you waiting." Lin Feng smiled and said, "Elder, you're too polite. We just sat down, that's all." Elder Li Xuan muttered to himself. Didn't the outside world say that this young master was arrogant and despotic? But he didn't seem like the arrogant and despotic kind of person. Although Elder Li Xuan was full of doubts, he was a shrewd old man, so he didn't show anything out of the ordinary. He smiled and said, "I heard that this young master wants to do 2 deals with our firm. May I know what they are?" Lin Feng replied. "The first deal is to sell 25 ancient starships to your firm. The second deal is to buy a batch of deity-grade starstones from your firm. The price is negotiable." Elder Li Xuan said, "The first deal is no problem, but the second deal is a little troublesome." Lin Feng raised an eyebrow. "The Alliance of Stars is a huge firm. Don't tell me that they don't have deity-grade starstones for sale?" Elder Li Xuan replied, "Deity-grade starstones are a scarce resource. They're extremely rare, and everyone wants to get their hands on them. However, they're pitifully few in number. That's why the various large firms don't sell deity-grade starstones. Even if they do manage to collect them, they're usually taken away by the power behind the firm." The situation was exactly as Elder Li Xuan had said. Deity-grade starstones were a scarce resource, and the firms were backed by top-tier powers. The cultivators of these top-tier powers also needed deity-grade starstones. Deity-grade starstones weren't enough for them to be self-sufficient. How could they take them out to sell? Lin Feng asked. "How about bartering?" "Oh? What would you like to offer in exchange?" Elder Li Xuan asked. Lin Feng replied, "A spirit fruit that's 50,000 years old or older. How about that?" Elder Li Xuan's eyes lit up when he heard Lin Feng's words. A spirit fruit that was 50,000 years old or older was considered a king medicine. It was a precious treasure. Not only could it extend a cultivator's lifespan, but it was also a precious healing medicine. 50,000 years old spirit fruits in exchange for a deity-grade starstone, elderly Xiuan said. Lin Feng nodded. All right. How many deity-grade starstones can the Alliance of Stars take out? It's hard to say. I'll have to report this to the higher-ups and let them decide. However, deity-grade starstones are too rare, so I don't think we can take out too many, elderly Xiuan said. When the time comes, I'll have to trouble elderly. Lin Feng took out a storage pouch and handed it to elderly Xiuan. Elderly Xiuan scanned the pouch with his divine sense and found that it contained 1,000,000 top-grade starstones. Elderly Xiuan was overjoyed and thought to himself, this person is really rich. He's giving away 1,000,000 top-grade starstones so casually. Elderly Xiuan put the pouch away and smiled. When the time comes, I'll definitely fight for you. Thank you. Lin Feng cupped his fists. Elderly Xiuan smiled. You're too polite. After a pause, elderly Xiuan continued. I'll send someone to take a look at your ancient ships. Then, we'll finalize the price. No problem. Lin Feng nodded and asked Du Zhu to bring a few representatives from the Alliance of Stars to assess the value of the ancient ships. Author's note: the exam is coming soon. Check the exam venue today. Update at night. Chapter 1502. Du Zhu brought the people from the Star Domain Alliance to evaluate the price of the ancient starship, while Lin Feng continued to wait in the trading company. There were higher-ups from the Star Domain Alliance overseeing the trading company, so Li Xiuan personally went to report to them that Lin Feng had used spirit fruits that were over 50,000 years old to exchange for god-grade starstones. In the end, the higher-ups from the Star Domain Alliance discussed and decided to use 100 god-grade starstones to exchange for the spirit fruits with Lin Feng. God-grade starstones were precious, so Lin Feng was quite satisfied to be able to exchange for 100 of them. Not long after, Du Zhu returned. According to the trading company's evaluation, one ancient starship was worth 15,000,000 top-grade starstones. 25 ancient starships were worth 375,000,000 top-grade starstones. After completing these two transactions, Lin Feng and Du Zhu returned to their residence. They planned to rest for 2 days before continuing on their journey to the Tianwu continent. The night is long, and I'm not in the mood to sleep. Let's go, I'll treat you to some wine. Du Zhu grinned. He had nothing to do, so he wanted to go out and enjoy himself. Lin Feng said, You can go by yourself. I don't want to go out tonight. Du Zhu went out to enjoy himself, while Lin Feng stayed in his residence. There was a hot spring in the courtyard. Lin Feng soaked in the hot spring first, and his fatigue disappeared. Then, Lin Feng sat on the roof and looked at the moon, tasting wine by himself. What's on the moon? The legendary fairy Chang'e? The jade rabbit spirit? The moon palace? Lin Feng muttered to himself. At that moment, he suddenly thought of a poem written by a Confucian expert from the primordial era. When will the moon appear? With wine in my hand, I asked the blue sky. I wonder what year it is in the heavenly palace? I want to ride the wind and return home, but I fear the jade palaces are too cold at the top. Dancing with the clear shadows, how is it like being in the mortal world? Turning red pavilions, low and beautiful, illuminated without sleep. Without hate, how can the moon be round when we part? People have their joys and sorrows, and the moon waxes and wanes. This has been difficult since ancient times. I hope that people will live long, thousands of miles apart. Now that he recited this poem, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel a myriad of emotions in his heart. All these years of drifting outside, it was difficult for him to reunite with his lover and separate from his family. It was like the waxing and waning of the moon. However, no matter what difficulties he faced, Lin Feng knew. Even he had to persevere. The world of cultivators was just this cruel. If one did not work hard to advance, they would be eliminated by the cruel laws of the world of cultivators. Survival of the fittest. In his drunken stupor, Lin Feng suddenly saw a sneaky figure coming from afar. The figure arrived outside Lin Feng's courtyard. It's her! Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly. This person was the female cultivator called Huihan from earlier in the day. This woman's figure was petite and exquisite, but her upper body was very voluptuous. Naturally, there was nothing to say about her figure, and her face was also very beautiful. Of course, his temper was also fiery enough. If the woman in the white palace dress hadn't stopped him, Huihan would have definitely attacked Du Zhu. Is this woman here to teach Du Zhu a lesson? Lin Feng could not help but mutter. The situation was exactly as Lin Feng had guessed. Huihan was indeed here to teach Du Zhu a lesson. Huihan's temper was quite fiery. Du Zhu had whistled at the group of senior and junior sisters and teased them. How could Huihan swallow her anger? However, because the woman in the white palace dress had stopped him, Huihan had no choice but to temporarily suppress the anger in her heart. Now, it was late at night. The group of senior and junior sisters had already gone to bed. Therefore, Huihan sneaked out and came to the small courtyard where Lin Feng and Du Zhu lived. The small courtyard was protected by a restriction that required a medallion to activate. However, Huihan seemed to be quite proficient in formations. Her hands formed a series of seals. Runes intertwined and entered the small courtyard's restriction. Immediately, the light barrier parted on its own, allowing Huihan to walk in. She gently pushed open the courtyard's door, then snuck into the room like a cat. After looking around, Huihan was unable to find Lin Feng and Du Zhu in the room. She walked out angrily and cursed in a low voice. Two grown men aren't at home in the middle of the night. There's an 80% chance that they're out drinking. I already knew that they weren't good people. At that moment, Lin Feng, who was sitting on the roof, coughed. Huihan jumped in fright. She turned around and saw Lin Feng jump down. Lin Feng said, "Instead of sleeping, you sneaked into someone else's residence in the middle of the night and even cursed the owner for being a bad person. Don't you think you've gone overboard?" When Huihan saw Lin Feng, she snorted coldly and asked, "Where's the other guy?" Lin Feng shrugged and said, "He went out to take care of something. He'll probably be back tomorrow." "Why? Why are you looking for him in the middle of the night? Do you have some personal matters to attend to? Don't tell me you've taken a liking to him? Nothing good can come out of a dog's mouth." Huihan glared at Lin Feng fiercely. She waved her right hand, and a sword flew out. The sword floated above Huihan and then split into three. They buzzed and released millions of strands of sword chi that emitted a cold light. Lin Feng said, "What are you doing? Could it be that you want to fight with me? If you want to fight, go fight that guy. I didn't do anything to you, so why are you trying to fight me?" Huihan said coldly. "That guy is your friend, right? I think you're all jackals of the same tribe." Lin Feng said, "He's not my friend. That guy is my guard." "Humph. A guard going out to have fun? Leaving his master alone in his residence? Who are you trying to fool?" Huihan snorted, obviously not believing Lin Feng's words. Lin Feng said, "Who asked me to be so kind? I treat my subordinates like brothers. If he wants to go out to have fun, then let him." Huihan sneered. "Keep your lies to yourself. I don't believe your nonsense. Since that guy isn't here, I'll deal with you first before dealing with that bastard." Lin Feng said, "It's not too late to leave now. If you continue to pester me, I'll strip you naked and punish you on the spot." Lin Feng's gaze swept over Huihan's body and finally stopped at her proud spot. Lin Feng had seen many beauties in his life. At this moment, he couldn't help but sigh. What turbulent waves! What did she eat to develop? Bastard, where are your eyes looking? Do you think I won't turn you into a eunuch? Feeling Lin Feng's burning gaze, Huihan felt as if her clothes were being stripped off. It was as if a pair of large hands were caressing her body, causing her to feel weak. Huihan was both embarrassed and angry. She immediately controlled the three flying swords to attack Lin Feng. Chapter 1503. Huihan was indeed a woman with a fiery temper. She attacked as soon as she said so. Three flying swords shot towards Lin Feng at lightning speed. Lin Feng said. Since you're so stubborn, don't blame me for being impolite. As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Feng waved his right hand. Powerful magic power surged out and swept towards the 3 flying swords. Clang, 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 the sound of collision rang out. The 3 flying swords were all swept away. Lin Feng's body swayed slightly. In the next moment, he was already in front of Hui Han. You! Hui Han's pretty face suddenly changed. She didn't expect Lin Feng to be so powerful. Hui Han quickly retreated, wanting to avoid Lin Feng's attack. However, but it was too late. Lin Feng's right hand lightly tapped Hui Han's body, scattering Hui Han's magic power. Then, his left hand grabbed Hui Han's slender waist. Clang, clang, clang. The 3 flying swords lost control and fell to the ground. Lin Feng smiled at Hui Han and said, Is that all you've got? You dare to show off with that little bit of skill? Tell me honestly, are you secretly in love with me, so you're looking for an excuse to take the initiative to throw yourself at me? Pfft. When Hui Han heard Lin Feng's words, she immediately spat at Lin Feng and said angrily, Hurry up and let go of me, or I'll shout. If you alarm my senior and junior sisters, you'll be dead. Lin Feng smiled. There's a soundproof barrier in the courtyard, so you won't be able to hear anything outside. Therefore, if you want to shout and call your fellow disciples, I'm afraid you won't be able to do it. Hui Han's eyes turned and she immediately begged. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have acted so willfully. I apologize to you. You're a man, so you won't lower yourself to the same level as a little girl, right? Lin Feng wasn't used to seeing the hot-tempered Hui Han become so pitiful. When Lin Feng said he would strip Hui Han naked and punish her on the spot, he was only trying to scare this hot-tempered girl. Now that he saw Hui Han begging for mercy, Lin Feng decided to let her go. However, when Lin Feng saw the sly look in Hui Han's eyes, Lin Feng immediately changed his mind. Hui Han wasn't sincerely begging for mercy. Lin Feng was sure that if he let Hui Han go now, she might call a group of senior and junior sisters to cause trouble for him. Lin Feng smiled at Hui Han. Are you afraid now? What were you doing just now? Hui Han immediately looked as if she was going to cry, and she said pitifully, I've already admitted that I was wrong, so please spare me this time. I promise that I won't make trouble for you again. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. Women were all natural actresses. Even a hot-tempered girl like Hui Han could instantly become teary-eyed and pitiful. If it was any other woman, they would probably be even better at acting. Lin Feng's left hand wrapped around Hui Han's small waist, and his right hand started to roam around her hot body. Ah, what are you doing? Let go of me! Hui Han immediately screamed. Her face turned pink, and her body trembled slightly. It was obvious that she had never been touched by a man before, so her body was extremely sensitive. Didn't I just say it? I'm going to punish you on the spot. That's exactly what I'm going to do now, Lin Feng said with a smile. You can't do this to me. Hui Han struggled, her face pale with fright. Lin Feng said with a smile. It's useless to say anything now. Even if you beg for mercy, it's useless. I won't fall for it. Hui Han had lost all of her magic power, so she couldn't struggle free. When she felt Lin Feng's right hand reach into her clothes, she was almost scared to tears. Lin Feng tugged hard and directly tore Hui Han's undergarments off her body. It was a transparent white undergarment that felt quite good to the touch. It even had the warmth of Hui Han's body. You're shameless. Hui Han used both hands to protect her body. Her undergarments had been torn off by Lin Feng and held in his hand. This made her feel extremely ashamed, and her face was so red that it seemed like blood would drip out. Lin Feng took Hui Han's undergarments and took 2 steps backwards, smiling. I think I'm a good person. If I were a bad person, I wouldn't have just taken off your undergarments. I would have stripped you naked and turned you into a married woman. Now take your 3 broken swords and leave. Don't come and cause trouble for me again. Otherwise, I might tell people about your undergarments. I'm a big man, so it's not a big deal, but it's a big problem for your reputation. Hui Han was so angry that she gnashed her teeth. She wanted nothing more than to chop Lin Feng into pieces. But now that Lin Feng had something on her, she could only glare hatefully at Lin Feng. Then, she put away her swords and ran out of Lin Feng's courtyard with a red face. After Hui Han left, Lin Feng took a whiff of Hui Han's undergarments. There was a faint scent of her body. Lin Feng immediately felt that his actions were too vulgar and shameless. He muttered to himself, "A man's true colors. Actually, I think I'm already a gentleman." After putting away Hui Han's undergarments, he returned to his room and lay down on the bed to sleep. Hui Han's matter was just a small interlude to Lin Feng. He didn't care too much about it. The next morning, Duzu came back after a night of debauchery. Then, this guy was beside Lin Feng, bragging about which beauty had the most enchanting figure, which beauty had the most slender legs, and which beauty had the most impressive peaks. Seeing the chattering Duzu, Lin Feng directly kicked this guy away. After resting for 2 days, Lin Feng planned to leave for the Tianwu continent. Just as he was about to check out of his room, suddenly, a loud rumbling sound came from the 9 heavens. The void was trembling violently. No one knew what was going on. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Some of the deity realm experts directly rushed to the outer realm. As for the cultivators who hadn't broken through to the deity realm, they drove the ancient starship and rushed to the outer realm. Something shocking must have happened in the outer realm. Lin Feng frowned slightly. He and Du Zhu didn't go to the outer realm. Instead, they checked out of their room, found a tea house, and ordered a pot of high-quality spiritual tea. They sipped the tea while waiting for news. It didn't take long for the shocking news to spread. An incomparably huge ancient city had appeared in the outer realm. The ancient city floated in the depths of the outer realm like a desolate beast, emitting a boundless pressure. Many people flew towards the huge ancient city. Could it be that ancient city? In the tea house, an old cultivator had an uncertain expression. Someone asked, "Senior, could it be that you know the origin of that ancient city?" The old cultivator's expression was grave as he said, "It's very likely to be that ancient city that appears once every 1,000,000 years. Chapter 1504. The ancient city was very mysterious, and very few cultivators had ever heard of it. Now that this old cultivator was talking about it, everyone's interest was piqued. Lin Feng said, "It only appears once every 1,000,000 years. If it's like this every time, wouldn't it be too evil?" The old cultivator smiled bitterly. "The ancient city itself is filled with evil." After a pause, the old cultivator continued, "Outside the ancient city, there are corpses of gods and demons nailed to the wall, as well as the heads of Buddhist monks. Hiss!" Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. What had happened to this ancient starry sky city in the past? The old cultivator said, "The ancient city has a long history, far before the immemorial era or even the immortal era. However, no one knows when the ancient city appeared." Duzu said, "Rumor has it that several powerful beings are buried in the ancient city. Niwa, Swirenshi, Xianyuan. I wonder if the rumor is true?" The poison ancestor had clearly heard of some matters regarding the ancient city of Starry Sky, and the few people he mentioned left everyone shocked and moved. Niwa was a sentient life form. She had lived for countless years before the creation of the world and was also known as the mother of all living beings. According to the legends, Niwa had created all living beings. Of course, whether or not this was true was not certain. After all, this was something that happened when the world was created, and it had been too long since then. However, since the legend said that there was no wind without waves, perhaps Niwa had really created all living beings? Swirenshi was the ancestor of the human race, the Swerin sovereign, of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. There was once a ballad that wrote this. We can't forget that Swirenshi drilled wood to make fire, bringing hope to the human race. We can't forget that Fushi fought a bloody battle to protect the human race, staining the heavens with his blood. We can't forget that Shenong tasted all kinds of herbs to expel diseases for the human race, working his heart out. This was a ballad that praised the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. Swirenshi drilled wood to make fire, and from then on, the human race learned how to use fire. This was the first major change in the history of the human race. The human race began to learn how to use the power of nature. The legend of Nuwa creating all living things might just be a myth, but the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors were real. They were the ancestors of the human race. The Xianyuan clan that the poison ancestor spoke of was the Yellow Emperor of the 5 emperors. He was also one of the ancestors of the human race. In the past, the Yellow Emperor had joined forces with another great emperor of the human race, the Flame Emperor, to kill the demon ancestor Chiyu, allowing the human race to flourish. Or else, perhaps the human race had already been exterminated. Regardless of whether it was Nuwa, Suiren, or Xianyuan, all of them were renowned existences. But now, Duzu was saying that the ancient ship was rumored to have buried Nuwa, Swirenshi, and Xianyuan. This was too shocking and hard to believe. The old cultivator said, "Is there such a rumor? This old man has never heard of it." Duzu replied, "I came across it by chance in an ancient book. As for whether it's true or not, I don't know." Whether it was Duzu or the old cultivator, their knowledge of the ancient city was limited. Thus, they were unable to obtain much useful information from them. "Let's go and take a look outside." Some cultivators stood up and decided to head to the ancient city. If it was as Duzu said, and the ancient city buried Nuwa, Suiren, and Xianyuan, then it would be too shocking. It could be said that this was earth-shattering news. Lin Feng and Duzu left as well. They paid the fee to stop the ship and drove it towards the starry sky. This was the only ancient ship they had left. They'd sold all the other ancient ships they had. Many cultivators boarded their ancient ships and flew towards the starry sky. Now that the ancient city had appeared, it caused a huge commotion. The cultivators in the surrounding starfields were all alarmed. Then, all sorts of rumors about the ancient city began to spread. Lin Feng and Duzu drove their ancient ship to the ancient city. The ancient city stretched for thousands of kilometers. Lin Feng had never seen such a huge city before. He really didn't know how it had been built. The ancient city floated in the boundless starry sky, surrounded by restrictions. Many cultivators stood in the void and watched. Lin Feng and Duzu flew out of the ancient ship. Lin Feng took out a glass bottle. This kind of glass bottle was a kind of treasure created by alchemists. It was used to store ancient void ships. When one wanted to use an ancient ship, one only needed to release the ancient ship. It was very convenient. Lin Feng put the bottle into his storage ring. He and Duzu stood outside the ancient city and watched. The restrictions shrouded the ancient starry sky city, so the overall appearance of the ancient starry sky city wasn't very clear. Many people were patiently waiting for the restrictions to disperse. Many major factions arrived one after another. The Star Lord of Orchid Star, the Three-Eyed Golden Lion clan leader, and other experts arrived one after another. Rumbling sounds rang out. In the distance, a continent drifted over, causing the entire void world to tremble. However, when the continent drifted over, everyone realized that it wasn't a continent that floated in the starry sky. It was a giant starry sky beast. It was one of the largest starry sky beasts, and also the overlord of the starry sky. A giant starry sky beast could swallow an entire planet with a single gulp. It was abnormally terrifying. The giant starry sky beast turned into a middle-aged man and looked at the ancient city in the distance. Amitabha! Excellent! Excellent! A Buddhist chant came from the distance. Golden light shone brightly. A dozen monks walked over. The leader was an old monk. 10 rays of Buddhist light appeared behind the old monk. He was an enlightened monk. Only the eminent monks of Buddhism would have the light of Buddha behind their heads. The old monk in front of them had 10 rays of Buddhist light behind his head. This old monk was definitely extraordinary. He must have an extremely high status in Buddhism. Could he be from the Buddhist realm? It seems that only the Great Thunderclap Temple of the Buddhist realm has such an enlightened monk, Duzu said. The Buddhist realm was one of the 7 highest realms of the 3,000 great realms. It had many experts and was extremely mysterious. Lin Feng had always been in awe of monks. Amateus! After the group of enlightened monks of Buddhism arrived, there were about 20 Taoist experts in the distance. The leader was an old Taoist with a sage-like demeanor. Boom! At that moment, the void suddenly collapsed. A palm-sized golden butterfly flew out. The golden butterfly exuded an ancient aura that resembled the primordial times. Many people found it hard to breathe because of the aura. They couldn't help but kowtow to the golden butterfly. Heavens, is that the legendary Emperor Archaic? A cultivator said with a trembling voice. Chapter 1505. What kind of terrifying existence was the Emperor Archaic? His cultivation was heaven-defying, and a flap of his wings was enough to kill a great emperor. He was close to being a sentient life form. Over the long years, only a few Emperor Archaic had appeared. The Emperor Archaic and sentient life forms weren't from the same era. Perhaps the Emperor Archaic really had a way to contend against sentient life forms. Yet now, a primeval Emperor Butterfly had actually appeared here, and it was truly too shocking and moving. No, that's not the Emperor Archaic. It's the immemorial Devil Disc, a cultivator said aloud. He seemed to have recognized the species of the golden butterfly. Although it's completely golden, it's filled with demonic energy. Its appearance is very similar to the Emperor Archaic's. The immemorial Devil Disc is an exceptionally terrifying life form. It's said that if the immemorial Devil Disc's lifespan reaches 100 million years, it will complete an important transformation and reach the Great Emperor realm. The cultivator continued. For human cultivators or cultivators of other races, even giant gods would find it extremely difficult to live for 100 million years. However, for some races with longer lifespans, such as the Sky Demons, the immemorial Devil Disc race, or the Black Tortoise race, it was still possible for them to live 100 million years. If the immemorial Devil Disc reached 100 million years and completed its transformation, then the immemorial Devil Disc's life force would undergo a new transformation. Its body would glow with vitality, and its lifespan would be extended by a few 100 million years. Although it's not the Emperor Archaic, this immemorial Devil Disc is terrifying enough, said a cultivator. The cultivators around the immemorial Devil Disc hurriedly moved away from where they had been standing. They were probably worried that if they accidentally offended the immemorial Devil Disc, they would be attacked by it. Once my immemorial ancestor insect hatches, it won't be any weaker than the immemorial Devil Disc, right? Lin Feng couldn't help but stroke his chin. The immemorial ancestor insect's egg was in the process of hatching, and the life force of the Builder Tree's sapling was nourishing it. Lin Feng believed that sooner or later, the primordial ancestral insect would hatch successfully. Once the primordial ancestral insect successfully hatched, a heaven-defying existence would appear by Lin Feng's side. More and more experts were arriving. There were experts from various major forces, but there were also many overlords in the starry sky. For example, the astral behemoth and the primordial demonic disc were all overlords of the starry skies. Not long after, more and more powerful space overlords appeared, such as the nine-headed vicious Jiao Dragon, the eight-winged god devouring snake, and many others. Lin Feng also saw Hui Han and her fellow disciples. They must be from the fairy maiden Starfield. Many people looked at Hui Han and her senior and junior sisters. Someone pointed out their identities. The fairy maiden Starfield was a very powerful starfield in the starry sky world. This starfield was filled with experts. This starfield was truly famous because it was ruled by a power called the Celestial Maiden Sect. The Celestial Maiden Sect only recruited female disciples. In the fairy maiden starfield, the status of men was even lower than that of women. Many people were talking about the fairy maiden starfield. Lin Feng also heard a lot of news about the fairy maiden starfield. He couldn't help but mutter to himself, "No wonder that little girl Hui Han has such a fiery temper. It must have something to do with her high status in the fairy maiden starfield." Lin Feng's guess was not without reason. The status of women in the fairy maiden starfield was high, while the status of men was low. For example, Huihan and her fellow disciples had extraordinary cultivation. They must have come from a major sect in the Fairy Maiden Starfield. They might even be disciples of a supreme overlord, the Fairy Maiden sect. Such a status in the Fairy Maiden Starfield was naturally a high and mighty existence. Once a person was in a high position, especially a young person, it was easy for them to become self-centered. The slightest dissatisfaction would cause their temper to explode. Many disciples of major clans and sects were like this. They were arrogant and had bad tempers. Huihan seemed to have noticed Lin Feng. Her beautiful eyes were glaring fiercely at Lin Feng. She looked like she was gnashing her teeth. However, Lin Feng had something on Huihan, so she did not dare to act rashly. 3 days later, the restriction that shrouded the ancient Starfield city gradually dissipated. When the starry sky ancient city's restrictions completely dissipated, everyone finally saw the huge ancient city. The city walls were 4,000 to 5,000 meters tall. The black city gates exuded a cold and eerie aura. Above the ancient Starfield city, space-time was distorted. It was obvious that flying was prohibited. If one tried to fly over the ancient Starfield city and land in the ancient Starfield city, they would probably die a horrible death. "Look, those corpses!" Someone pointed at the huge and black city walls. Many corpses were hanging from the city walls. Many of the corpses had chains around their necks and were hung from the city walls. "Why are there so many cultivators hanging?" Lin Feng frowned slightly. This ancient Starfield city was too strange. "There's a fiend god nailed to the city walls!" Someone shouted from afar. Many people rushed over. It was an expert from the fiend god clan. He had 3 heads, 6 arms, and 18 pairs of wings. A war spear pierced through his chest and nailed him to the city walls. His blood flowed down the city walls. The blood of a fiend god would never dry up. The fiend god had been nailed to the city walls for an unknown number of years, but his blood still flowed as if it had just flowed out. It exuded the power of a fiend god. The fiend god clan is a special clan. They have the abilities of both the divine clan and the fiend god clan. They should be one of the oldest and strongest clans. Cultivators from the fiend god clan are rare, even in the primordial era. However, once they appear, they will definitely have heaven-defying strength. A cultivator said. The death of such a powerful expert from the godly demon clan caused a huge commotion among the crowd. Amit Ba. Excellent! Excellent! In the distance, a monk stepped forward and walked towards the ancient Starfield city. He was also an enlightened monk. There were 5 rays of Buddhist light behind his head. This monk is exceptionally terrifying. He's definitely surpassed the divine flame realm, or even the true god realm, Duzu said. Lin Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. Could he be a heavenly god? What terrifying strength! I think these monks are also space travelers. In the Buddhist world, some of the enlightened monks would enter the Starfield world in order to comprehend the Tao. They would then travel to every corner of the Starfield to comprehend their Tao, Duzu said. Lin Feng stroked his chin and sighed. Buddhism has always been terrifying. Lin Feng looked towards the old monk. The old monk walked step by step towards the head of a monk that was hung on the city walls. He wants to take that senior monk's head? Lin Feng frowned. This ancient Starfield city was very strange. It wouldn't be easy to take the head of a monk that was hung on the city walls. However, the old monk did not choose to retreat. He was forced back and once again walked towards the head of the ancient Buddha. Too stubborn. Many people shook their heads. They felt that there was no need for the old monk to risk his life for the head of a dead ancient Buddha. The old monk approached the head of the ancient Buddha step by step. The aura in the air was getting more and more terrifying. The old monk spat out mouthfuls of blood and his face turned pale. Many people revealed horrified expressions. The old monk's strength was tyrannical, but he was still forced to spit out blood. Just how powerful was the pressure that permeated the void? Amitabha. In the distance, the group of monks put their palms together and chanted Buddhist scriptures. They seemed to be praying for the old monk who had gone to pluck off the ancient Buddha's head. Even though the old monk was heavily injured, he did not retreat. His willpower was really strong, said Lin Feng. Buddhist monks are indeed admirable, said Lin Feng. Du Zhu said. These people have a kind of obsession. This obsession is actually very terrifying. For the sake of this obsession, they might not even care about their own lives. They are no different from madmen, Lin Feng said. But in the eyes of Buddhist cultivators, the obsession you speak of is the faith in their hearts, Du Zhu said. Perhaps this is the reason why the Buddhist world has never declined. The old monk approached the ancient Buddha's head once again. However, this time, the old monk seemed to be under even more pressure than the first time. His body had cracked, and fresh blood flowed out. At that moment, the ancient monk with the 10 Buddhist lights behind his head said, Amitabha, good, good. Junior brother Ji Wu, do your best and leave the rest to the heavens. This matter cannot be forced, so you should quickly retreat. The old monk said. Senior brother, how can I let the ancestor's head hang here without doing anything? I'm willing to risk my life to let the ancestor's head rest in peace. The old monk called Ji Wu clearly had no intention of retreating. He stretched out his hand to grab the ancient Buddha's head. However, something terrifying happened. An unimaginably terrifying aura spread out and enveloped the old monk. Crack, crack, the sound of cracking could be heard. The old monk's body. Like porcelain, it quickly cracked. In the blink of an eye, dense cracks appeared on the old monk's body. Bang! Soon after, the old monk's body collapsed. His body has collapsed. This old monk has died a tragic death. Countless people were shocked. The old monk was so powerful that he was very likely in existence on the level of a heavenly god. He had died just like that. There were too many people who were aghast. This ancient city is too terrifying. The corpses hanging in the ancient city and the corpses nailed to the city walls can't be touched. I originally wanted to pull out the spear that nailed the fiend god to death. Fortunately, I didn't do it. This ancient city is strange. Maybe it's cursed. Many people began to talk at once. Have a safe journey, Lin Feng muttered to himself. He admired the old monk. The old monk's death made it difficult for Lin Feng to calm down. Many people curse Buddhists for being sanctimonious. Perhaps there were indeed many sanctimonious people in Buddhism. However, there were also people who were worthy of respect. Just like the old monk, who was an eminent Buddhist monk. Amitabha. The other monks chanted Buddhist scriptures to release the old monk from his death. Rumble! 2 hours later, the huge black stone door that was more than 3,000 meters tall let out an earth-shaking sound. The door is about to open. Many people cried out excitedly. What secrets are hidden in this ancient city? Are Niuhua, Suiren, and Xianyuan really buried here? Lin Feng muttered to himself as he gazed at the ancient city. There were too many secrets in this ancient city. Perhaps he would be able to uncover some of them now that it was opened. Or perhaps he would be able to find the burial grounds of Niuhua, Suiren, and Xianyuan. Lin Feng's heart was heavy. Niuhua was the mother of all living things. Regardless of whether or not Niuhua had created all living things, it was an indisputable fact that she had mended the heavens and saved all living things. As for Suiren and Xianyuan, they were the ancestors of the human race. Niuhua had died in a great battle between sentient lifeforms. How did the ancestors of the human race, Suirenshi and Xianyuan, die? If Niuhua, Suiren, and Xianyuan had really died in this ancient city, then what terrifying thing had happened in this ancient city back then? It was actually able to bury a sentient life form and 2 ancestors of the human race. Chapter 1507. Rumble. Following the earth-shattering sound, the enormous city gates finally opened. Many people soared into the sky and flew towards the city. Let's go! Said Lin Feng as he flew towards the city with Du Zhu. Suddenly, Lin Feng sensed an ice-cold deadly energy. He gazed into the distance, and saw a member of the 3-eyed Golden Lion clan looking at him coldly. His eyes were filled with killing intent, he hadn't concealed it at all. Xian Daoyuan and the Little Lion King were among the three-eyed golden lions. This time, the three-eyed golden lions had brought many strong cultivators. They didn't attack immediately. Instead, they looked deeply at Lin Feng before entering the city. They won't let this matter rest. There will be a battle, said Du Zhu. Lin Feng nodded. It's fine. We don't need to worry about anything. After that, Lin Feng and Du Zhu entered the city. This ancient city was simply too huge. A single street was 4 to 5 li wide, and the entire city was 5 to 6,000 li wide. It was so huge that it was hard to believe. Look at the sword marks on the ground. There's even blood. Many people pointed at the ground as they entered the city. The sword marks were too obvious. The ground was also covered in dried blood. Who knew how much blood had been lost in the past? There must have been an unimaginable battle in the city. Those corpses outside might have something to do with it, said someone. Everyone agreed. Many people agreed with this statement. Everyone flew deeper into the forest one after another. Some people entered the shops on both sides of the street to look for things. There are so many things that haven't been touched. We're rich. Some people found some treasures and shouted excitedly. But very soon, a bitter battle broke out. Cultivators killed each other for the sake of obtaining treasures. The battle was incomparably intense. This kind of scene was playing out in many corners of the ancient city. Lin Feng and Du Zhu flew deeper into the city. They saw a statue and stopped. It was a statue of a woman. The woman's body was surrounded by a holy light. She held two things in her hands. The first was a scroll, and the second was a jade bottle. Inside the jade bottle was golden soil. Is that a statue of Niwa? An old cultivator exclaimed in shock. Lin Feng nodded. It should be a statue of Niwa. Niwa is holding the legendary stately painting and living soil of the 9 heavens, right? The stately painting contained heaven and earth. It could nourish celestials and give birth to all things. It was said that the stately painting was a map of heaven and earth before the creation of heaven and earth. Many secrets and treasures were recorded on the map. After the creation of heaven and earth, the stately painting took the initiative to evolve the forms of the myriad worlds. The evolution of the 3 realms and 6 paths was based on the stately painting's evolution. The painting of mountains and rivers of the gods of earth and veil contained the boundless spiritual chi of the universe: mountains, rivers, stars, flowers, plants, birds, beasts, mountains, rivers, and earth veins. The spiritual chi and the spiritual treasure gave birth to billions of living beings and was in between life and death. It was as if there was a real small world of earth and veil in the painting. If a connate life form entered the painting without a supreme treasure, they would be trapped for life. Even if they had a supreme treasure, they would be severely injured and have to flee. From this, one could see that the stately painting not only recorded countless treasures of the connate world, but also possessed heaven-defying combat strength. It could even trap a connate life form to death. It was a supreme-grade connate spiritual treasure, one of the 10 great connate spiritual treasures along with Niwa's other supreme treasure, the red embroidered sphere. As for the soil in the other jade bottle, its origin was also extremely extraordinary. A handful of soil showed a strange golden color. A yellow light that seemed like gold but not gold spread out. It was a yellow cloud that was a few acres in size. It guarded the target and prevented the opponent from moving forward. When attacking the yellow cloud, it was like encountering a cotton bag. It was impossible to do anything. During the creation of heaven and earth, Goddess Niwa had bestowed the human emperor to restrain the calamity after Gongong's death. It was said that the living soil of the 9 heaven was the ancestral source of earth and a sacred item of the human race. Even the immortal slaying sword couldn't do anything to it. It grew with the wind and had endless magical changes. The yellow cloud expanded and changed like the enemy. It was tough and dense. It grew and grew according to the attacks of the outside world. It was invulnerable. Both the stately painting and the living soil of the 9 heaven were connate supreme treasures, one of the 2 treasures in Niwa's treasury. Who created such a statue of Niwa and polished the stately painting and the living soil of the nine heaven? Someone muttered to himself, puzzled. Niwa's statue didn't hold the real stately painting and the living soil of the nine heaven. It was just a carving. The real stately painting and the living soil of the nine heaven had disappeared when Niwa died. It's said that Niwa was buried in the city. Whether or not this rumor is true is debatable, but one thing is certain. This ancient city should be related to Niwa, right? Everyone nodded. A statue of Niwa had appeared in the ancient city, so it should be closely related to Niwa. Many people left one after another to continue searching for treasures. There were also some who hoped to find Niwa's inheritance in the ancient city. If there was such an opportunity, it would be heaven-defying. If they could find the stately painting, 18 generations of their ancestors would be burning incense. Lin Feng and Du Zhu left as well. Finding treasures was secondary. Lin Feng was actually more interested in exploring the ancient city's secrets. Was the great Niwa really buried here? Did Sui Renqi and Xian Yuan shed their blood in this ancient city? Lin Feng had many doubts in his heart. He and Du Zhu continued to head deeper into the city. However, when the sky darkened, a loud clanging sound was heard. Everyone was alarmed. They didn't understand what was going on. Let's go out and take a look! Many cultivators shouted and rushed toward the city gate. Lin Feng and Du Zhu were no exception. They arrived at the city gate with many others. When they arrived, they discovered something. The door that was originally open was now closed. What's going on? Why is the gate closed? Many people tried to push the huge black door open. However, no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't push the gate open. We won't be trapped here, right? Many people's faces turned pale. Some people tried to fly out from the sky, but there was a distorted spacetime in the sky. Some people were still hoping for a fluke and tried to pass through the distorted spacetime. However, as soon as they were swept by the distorted spacetime, they were reduced to a bloody mist. Their bodies and souls were destroyed, and they died miserably. Chapter 1508. We can't get out. The space-time distortion above is too strong. We're trapped here. Many people's faces were pale, and they found it hard to accept. They didn't want to die here, but they had no way of leaving. Panic and anxiety spread. There were also people who were more optimistic. An ancient city that appears once every million years must have many secrets hidden. What is everyone worried about? We just need to look for opportunities. I believe that when we've found enough opportunities, the city gates will open again. This was a cultivator who was more optimistic. Everyone had different experiences, different psychological endurance, and different personalities. Thus, this caused everyone to have different emotions when faced with the same situation. Lin Feng and Du Zhu walked away silently, as there was no point in being anxious. They could only wait quietly for the city gates to open. Lin Feng also believed that the city gates would open again. Normally, ancient cities, ancient cultivators' caves, secret realms, and so on that would appear once every few years would not be dead, in the absolute sense. There would definitely be a way out for everyone. Humph! A light snort of anger was heard. Lin Feng looked over and saw that it was Hui Han, the hot-tempered girl. Her beautiful eyes were fiercely glaring at him. Lin Feng guessed that this girl wanted to cut him into pieces at this moment. However, with her weakness in his hands, she didn't dare to act rashly. Lin Feng directly ignored Hui Han and left with Du Zhu. The female cultivator in the white palace dress asked, "Junior Sister Han, could it be that you had some other dispute with that person?" This female cultivator was meticulous and saw some clues. Hui Han naturally didn't dare to say that her undergarments had been taken away by Lin Feng. There was no way she could say such a thing, as it would only make things worse. Hui Han said, "Senior sister, I just don't like that guy. That person is not simple. I received news that a few days ago, he beat the three-eyed Golden Lion clan's little Lion King half to death. He also extorted a lot of precious divine array materials from the three-eyed Golden Lion clan. This person is obviously lawless. Don't provoke him, or you'll be at a disadvantage, the female cultivator in the white palace dress said. Hearing these words, Huihan felt an extremely stimulating feeling in his heart. The three-eyed Golden Lion clan was one of the 5 great powers of the Chaos Star Divine Realm, and he actually dared to beat the clan's young master half to death in their territory. His guts weren't ordinary. If Lin Feng hadn't taken away her undergarments, Huihan felt that she would rather admire Lin Feng. However, because Lin Feng had taken away her undergarments, Huihan began to curse Lin Feng. Not only was he a pervert, but he was also an arrogant troublemaker. After cursing Lin Feng in her heart, Huihan felt much better. Lin Feng and Du Zhu went deep into the ancient city. They had been to many places, but they didn't find anything particularly important. Late at night, gusts of cold wind suddenly swept through the ancient city. The cold wind blew. Lin Feng immediately felt his hair stand on end, and goosebumps appeared all over his body. Will something sinister happen in this ancient city? Lin Feng frowned slightly. After a pause, Lin Feng said, Du Zhu, you are very experienced and knowledgeable. Don't you feel that this ancient city is like a cage? Du Zhu didn't say anything. Lin Feng turned to look at Du Zhu and saw that Du Zhu had his head lowered. It was unknown what he was thinking. Lin Feng patted Du Zhu's shoulder and asked, What are you thinking about? Who would have thought that at that moment, the poison ancestor's right hand moved as fast as lightning. His fingers were like swords as they moved towards Lin Feng's chest. He wanted to pierce through Lin Feng's chest. This attack was too sudden. It was so fast that Lin Feng couldn't dodge it in time. You're not Du Zhu! Lin Feng shouted angrily. Jiji Jiji! The mysterious existence laughed strangely. Just as the attack was about to pierce through Lin Feng's chest, Lin Feng used the heaven patchwork technique to escape from death. He then condensed the 9 slashes of the Devil Emperor and transformed into a beam of killing light that slashed at the person impersonating Du Zhu. Whoosh! The mysterious existence was too fast. He dodged Lin Feng's attack. Then, he turned into a pitch-black blur and charged forward. Where do you think you're going? Lin Feng shouted coldly and chased after him. The pitch-black figure occasionally laughed strangely. He was so fast that Lin Feng couldn't catch up to him. He disappeared without a trace after turning a corner. Lin Feng's expression was gloomy. Everything that had happened before his eyes was too strange. An extremely uneasy feeling arose in his heart. Du Zhu had disappeared without a trace. Where had he gone? Then what exactly was the thing that pretended to be Du Zhu and ambushed him? Everything was a mystery that no one could guess. There are really a lot of secrets hidden in this ancient city. Lin Feng rubbed his chin. He walked alone into the depths of the city. A cold wind blew. This road seemed to lead him to the underworld. Ah! Mournful screams came from afar. Someone had suffered a calamity. Lin Feng quickly ran over. By the time he arrived, there were already hundreds of cultivators gathered on the street. They were all nearby cultivators who heard the screams and immediately rushed over. What happened? Lin Feng asked. Someone. All that's left is a piece of human skin, a cultivator said. Lin Feng squeezed into the crowd and saw a pool of blood on the ground. Beside the blood was a piece of human skin. When Lin Feng saw the human skin, he couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. How could this be? Why would there be human skin here? This wasn't the first time Lin Feng had seen human skin. Back in the Tianwu continent, where demons were sealed, there was a strange creature that devoured people's flesh and soul, leaving only human skin behind. Later, that strange creature even devoured the flesh and soul of Great Ming's Great Hell's Devil King, leaving only human skin behind. And now, it was the same situation again. Lin Feng was extremely puzzled. What kind of thing could devour other people's flesh and soul and leave only human skin behind? Human skin! Look, there's another human skin! A cultivator behind him shouted in fear. Everyone turned around and saw that the cultivators at the outermost perimeter were now human skins. The cultivator who had shouted in fear turned into a human skin in the next moment. Hurry up and run! The surrounding cultivators were already scared out of their wits. They quickly ran away. Lin Feng also ran away like crazy. However, he felt a gloomy chi chasing after him. He looked back, but he couldn't see anything. This made Lin Feng's hair stand on end. He's chasing after me. It must be him. That unknown and mysterious existence is chasing after me. Lin Feng's face was pale. The curse of the ages. Lin Feng vaguely heard a voice. It was hoarse and unpleasant to the ear, as if a malicious spirit was speaking to him. Chapter 1509. The voice was so terrifying that Lin Feng felt like he had fallen into a bottomless abyss. An eternal curse. At this moment, he thought of many things. Could it be the curse of the Celestial Master lineage? This powerful cursed lineage. Lin Feng didn't know much about the Celestial Master lineage. The descendants of the Celestial Master lineage couldn't meet in pairs. Otherwise, they would lose themselves and turn into netherworld soldiers. This was the first curse Lin Feng knew about. As for whether there were other curses, Lin Feng didn't know. No one can avoid the curse that has existed since the beginning of time. That voice once again resounded in his ears. This made Lin Feng feel extremely uneasy. He felt like he was about to be cursed like the ancestors of the Celestial Master lineage. Lin Feng suddenly felt very cold. His head felt very heavy, and his consciousness seemed to be gradually blurring. This is the curse? Lin Feng smiled bitterly. It was truly terrifying. He couldn't resist it. It was no wonder that even the powerful ancestors of the Celestial Master lineage couldn't resist the power of the curse. In this world, the strangest thing was probably the power of all kinds of curses. They were terrifying, despairing, and irresistible. How many geniuses and peerless experts had been harmed by the power of the curse? Lin Feng wanted to resist, but his resistance was useless in the face of this eternal curse. Just as Lin Feng was about to sink into endless darkness, suddenly, Lin Feng felt like someone had kicked him. Pervert, what are you doing here? Huh? Why aren't you moving? You're not possessed, are you? You're going to fall into my hands? Lin Feng vaguely heard a familiar voice. Then, he felt someone kick him to the ground. With a bang, his head hit the ground. Ouch! Lin Feng cried out in pain. He was pulled back to reality. Then, Lin Feng saw Hui Han with her hands on her hips. Did she accidentally pull me back to the real world? Lin Feng couldn't help but think of how grateful he was to Hui Han. He jumped up from the ground and hugged Hui Han in his arms before Hui Han could come back to her senses. He kissed and touched her excitedly. Stinking pervert! Hui Han hurriedly pushed Lin Feng away, her face flushed red. In her eyes, Lin Feng was taking advantage of her on purpose. Lin Feng awkwardly rubbed his nose and said, Ahem, I was too happy to see you. I was too excited and couldn't control myself. Bah! Hui Han spat at Lin Feng and said fiercely, Where's that bastard guard of yours? Lin Feng said, He got separated from me. It was very strange at the time. We were walking together, but he disappeared without a trace. That's strange. Hui Han frowned slightly. Lin Feng asked, What about your fellow disciples? Hui Han sighed and said, At that time, we entered a house. After we entered, I appeared on this street. Lin Feng said, This ancient city is much more sinister than we imagined. Since your cultivation is relatively weak, I decided to do you a favor and let you stay by my side. I don't want you to die here for no reason. Shameless bastard, do you think you're so strong? Hui Han scolded. You're treating my kindness as malice? Then let's go our separate ways. Lin Feng waved his hand and walked into the distance. Hui Han followed him. She naturally knew that Lin Feng's cultivation was very strong. Otherwise, how could he have beaten the little Lion King half to death? Staying by Lin Feng's side was indeed much safer. Didn't you say that you didn't want to stay by my side? Lin Feng smiled at Hui Han. Hui Han snorted. I didn't say that. She then glared fiercely at Lin Feng and asked, What's your name? Lin Feng. My name is Huihan. I know. How did you know, you scoundrel? Are you secretly trying to find out about me? Are you plotting something against me? Have you forgotten that senior sister of yours called you by your name before? I was right next to you, so I know what's so strange about your name. I didn't really believe it when I heard the saying big breasts are brainless, but now I really do. Who are you calling a big breast brainless? I was wrong. You have big breasts and brains, okay? That's more like it. However, Huihan suddenly felt that the saying big breasts and brains was not a big deal. She immediately kicked Lin Feng again. You scoundrel, you only know how to take advantage of me. Lin Feng was speechless. How did I take advantage of you? If you dare to touch me again, I'll pull you into a small house and strip you naked. I'll turn you from a young girl into a married woman. Huihan was so scared that her face turned pale. She simply stopped talking. Lin Feng and Huihan met another group of cultivators. There were about 100 of them. Everyone headed inside to explore the ancient city. Not long after, they saw a plaza. Because the ancient city was so huge, many plazas had been built. Many of the plazas were probably used for trading in the past. They were also the central area of the market. However, they were all empty now. The plaza Lin Feng and the others arrived at was shrouded in rolling black fog, so visibility was quite low. There was a thick smell of blood in the air. A gloomy and cold aura pervaded the square, causing people to shudder in fear. Look, there are so many bloodstains on the ground. The yin qi here is so heavy. Many people must have died here in the past, right? A cultivator said. Tap, tap, tap. Suddenly, Lin Feng heard the sound of footsteps coming towards him. He asked, Did you hear strange footsteps? What strange footsteps? I didn't hear anything. Brother, don't talk nonsense. In this damn place, you can scare people to death. A cultivator's voice trembled as he spoke. Could there really be something unclean here? Huihan looked at Lin Feng and asked. She moved closer to Lin Feng, thinking that it would be safer this way. Lin Feng replied, I'm not talking nonsense. Listen carefully. There are uniform footsteps. Tap, tap, tap. The footsteps sounded again. This time, Lin Feng wasn't the only one who heard them. Many cultivators heard them as well. Everyone's face turned pale with fright. Where did these footsteps come from? Look over there. Suddenly, someone pointed towards the depths of the plaza. A group of armored soldiers with spears in their hands were walking through the black fog in the square. Their footsteps were uniform. Heavens, wasn't this ancient city deserted a long time ago? Why is there a group of soldiers here? Many people turned pale when they saw the sudden appearance of the soldiers. Chapter 15:10. The scene in front of them was too strange. How could such a group of soldiers appear in the cosmic ancient city, which had long been a ghost town? It was too strange. Hurry up and hide, said Lin Feng. He had the feeling something wasn't right. He quickly ran into the distance and hid in a corner of the street. There was a house there, so he could hide in there. The others also ran away and hid. The group of soldiers didn't seem to notice them. They walked in another direction and soon disappeared from the plaza. Did you notice? Don't those soldiers look like they're patrolling? Someone voiced out their thoughts. Many people nodded because they had the same feeling. Lin Feng rubbed his chin and said, Why do I feel like those soldiers aren't living people? They look like ghost soldiers. Hiss. The sound of people sucking in cold breaths could be heard. Ghost soldiers were one of the Netherworld's army types. They were one of the Netherworld's two great armies. If they were really ghost soldiers, wouldn't that be too strange? Shouldn't ghost soldiers be in the Netherworld? Why were they in the cosmic ancient city? What are ghost soldiers from the Netherworld? Are they ghosts? Asked a cultivator. This was also a question that many people were curious about. What exactly were ghost soldiers? It was rumored that the Netherworld was a place where the dead went. For example, the 18 layers of hell, the Bridge of Helplessness, the Hall of Hell, and other places were all located in the Netherworld. In many people's opinion, if the Netherworld was a place where the dead went, then ghost soldiers should be like ghosts, right? Lin Feng said. Perhaps only people in the Netherworld know what ghost soldiers are. They're too mysterious. However, I've seen ghost soldiers before, so I have some understanding of their auras. I felt that the soldiers' auras were somewhat similar to ghost soldiers. Hui Han whispered. I've heard that the Netherworld is one of the 3 highest realms, which is above the 3 highest realms. The 3 highest realms might form a passage with some special places in the world. Do you think there's a passage in the cosmic ancient city that connects to the Netherworld? That's... Many people's expressions became uncertain because they felt that Hui Han's words were indeed possible. However, if what Hui Han said was true, and there was a passageway that connected the ancient city to the underworld, then, in that case, wouldn't the beings of the underworld continuously enter the ancient star city? If those underworld beings discovered the cultivators who had entered the ancient city, would they attack them? Lin Feng said. Looks like we need to be careful and avoid these netherworld creatures as much as possible. Otherwise, we might really suffer a calamity. Everyone felt that this made sense. The creatures of the underworld were too strange, and no one was willing to come into contact with them. They walked along a street. At that moment, Lin Feng and the others noticed that there were more and more underworld creatures in the ancient city. In addition to the Yin soldiers, Lin Feng and the others also saw some black-robed creatures. He wondered what those black-robed creatures were. However, the aura emitted from these creatures was extremely sinister and terrifying, causing people to shudder. Those creatures were absolutely terrifying. Suddenly, another scream was heard, and it alarmed Lin Feng and the others. They rushed in the direction of the scream. Then, they saw dozens of Yin soldiers fighting against a group of cultivators. The Yin soldiers were abnormally strong. When the cultivators' attacks landed on the Yin soldiers, they couldn't even cause any damage. However, when the Yin soldiers' attacks landed on the cultivators, many of them died tragically. Then, a terrifying scene appeared. When the cultivators died, their blood and corpses were absorbed into the ancient city. It was as if the ancient city had swallowed them. Damn! What's going on? Lin Feng's expression changed when he saw this. Lin Feng wasn't the only one whose expression changed. Everyone's expression changed again and again. Because it was really too strange. Run! Many cultivators cried out in fear, wanting to escape. However, the Yin soldiers were too strong, and they didn't let a single cultivator escape. All the cultivators were killed by the group of Yin soldiers. Don't make a sound, or you'll be discovered, Lin Feng whispered. The others nodded. Right now, no one dared to make a sound or leave. Because once they made a sound or left, they might be discovered by the Yin soldiers. If they were really discovered, it would be a terrible disaster. The group of Yin soldiers left. Lin Feng and the others heaved a sigh of relief. However, dozens of strange black-robed existences flew over from afar. Keek keek! The black-robed monsters let out a sinister sound, like the screams of malicious spirits. It was hoarse and unpleasant to the ears, and it made people feel cold all over. The black-robed monsters attacked Lin Feng and the others. The two sides collided. One of the black-robed monsters attacked Lin Feng. A pale white hand reached out from the black robe. Lin Feng collided with it, and the black-robed monster was sent flying. Then, he used the 9 slashes of the Demon Emperor on the black-robed monster. The black robe was torn, but a strange scene happened. There was nothing in the black robe. However, a pale white hand had clearly reached out from the black robe. Lin Feng felt his hair stand on end when such a strange thing could happen. What was even more terrifying was that the black robe that Lin Feng had torn instantly recovered. The black robe flew over, and a pale white hand reached out from the black robe. The pale white hand was like a sharp sword, and it was as fast as lightning, stabbing towards Lin Feng's chest. Lin Feng's expression changed slightly when he saw this. The black-robed monster was too fast. However, Lin Feng was not to be underestimated. In this dangerous moment, his body moved to the left, dodging the black-robed monster's attack, and then he kicked the black-robed monster away. The other cultivators were not as lucky as Lin Feng. Many of them were killed by the black-robed monsters. Their deaths could be said to be extremely tragic. A black-robed monster attacked Hui Han, and its sharp claws scratched towards her heart. The claws were like the claws of a wolf. These black-robed monsters were very strange. Some of the things that reached out from the black robes were beast claws, and some were human hands. Hui Han was unable to dodge this attack. She was so scared that her face turned pale, and her face was filled with despair. Bang! Lin Feng rushed over and sent the black-robed monster flying with a punch. Then, he grabbed Hui Han's slender waist and quickly rushed into the distance. These black-robed monsters seemed to be able to regenerate continuously. There was no way to fight them. If they stayed, they might die. Lin Feng was naturally aware of this, so he did not hesitate and fled with Hui Han. As for the others, Lin Feng did not care so much. He could not even protect himself now, so how could he care about the life and death of a group of strangers?